But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know whether rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, almost the direction. They were too fast to be helping.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And hello to all of you who might also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? It's Tuesday night, and that's one of the nights we get together and talk about all of the things we're not allowed to talk about. We go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. And one of the things we're not allowed to talk about, you know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the bizarre feeling that we live in the upside down. This show is live. If you want to be part of the show at any time tonight, the number to call is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord. We have a Discord server running and active and ready to go. If you want to be part of it that way, you can go to troubledminds.org. That's the official website. You can click on the Discord link. You can find the phone number and the Discord link at the website. Again, troubledminds.org. And that's what this that's what it's all about. That's where we begin. That's where this conversation starts, and that's where we get going with this. Now, this show is a little over 3 years old, right? I like to say that because I am very proud of that. Like I said, like I always say, try and wear the same color socks for 3 years. It becomes exceedingly difficult just to do simple things. But continuing a show like this for that long is an achievement and something I'm very proud of. And the reason I bring it up is because as this conversation has kind of spanned far and wide, and it ends up being like a conversation of all those things that we talked about. Propaganda is a good one. Like for instance, if you look at the news cycle right now, if you go turn on Fox or CNN, what's everybody talking about? What is everybody talking about tonight? Just in the 24-hour news cycle, what's going on, right? That the stuff in Minneapolis, the stuff in Minnesota, that case with George Floyd and that Chauvin guy, and he's guilty, right? That's what everybody's talking about. That's what everybody does because, well, when the mainstream controls the narrative, then these things become important, right? And sure, every action, every item, everything, every person is important. where I agree with that. I don't agree with how they kind of push this stuff in your face, and they want to tell you what the most important thing in the world is. And they do that through repetition. They do that through brainwash. They do that through all this other stuff, right? And that's, again, this is why we do this, why we get together, and why this conversation does span far and wide, underhill and overhill, as it were, because we deserve to choose our own narrative, right? You guys remember those old books back in the 80s? They're probably still rolling now, but they were called Choose Your Own Adventure, right? Where you get to read the book, and then you'd go to, page 7, and it would give you a choice, and you'd be able to make the choice and continue the story and bounce around the book based on the choices you made in something as simple as a little book, right? Well, it seems like if you listen to the mainstream media, those choices these days have been removed. And it's mob rule, and everything is leaning one side and trying to tip this boat over. And the boat being the metaphor, of course, for, well, this country, this world. And that's why it seems like we live in the upside down, because I think there are many entities out there. There are many folks that prefer that we live in the upside down. And so as we span this conversation far and wide, it is, different shows, different topics, different things we kind of touch on. But it is one large conversation. And that whole conversation just means this. We are allowed to choose, right? We are allowed to choose our own narratives. We are allowed to choose specifically, exactly what's most important to us. We're allowed to do these things. It doesn't matter what some shill on CNN says, or Fox, or wherever mainstream media you're listening to, or trying not to listen to, as the case may be. If you're listening to this, I'm pretty sure you're doing your best to probably avoid that. But the point being that we're allowed to choose these things. We are allowed to make up our own mind of what's most important to us as individuals, right? And that's an important distinction to make with this whole mob rule and everything going on in the way it does, right? It's an important thing. It's an important aspect of this conversation, and it's why we do it live to include you, okay? And as this conversation spans far and wide, over hill and under hill, as I said, we end up talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. All kinds of crazy stuff. And tonight, what we're going to talk about as part of that conversation that is wide-ranging, oddly enough, we've never really covered in depth on this show. In 3 years of conspiracy talk about aliens and all kinds of just wacky stuff, right? Remote viewing, you name it, conspiracy. We've never talked about this. And actually, which kind of falls in the same bucket. It's probably because it's like one of those OG, those very old school conspiracies that have been around for a very long time. And what we're going to talk about tonight, as I drag this on, is cattle mutilations. And so, there's a lot of people that have done great work with this, Linda Moulton Howe, and many others. But interestingly, these cattle mutilations are still happening today. This stuff is still going on, right? So despite all the conspiracy, right, despite all the viral press that this got back in the 70s, everybody remembers 1975, don't you? Yeah, right? If you do, or at least, able to look back into history a little bit from the point where you were born, if you're a little bit younger than that, a little bit older than that, right around there, they had an actual epidemic. An actual epidemic, not of the gasoline, if you guys remember that back then, but no, of cattle mutilations that was kind of happening all over the country, in different pockets of the country. And not only the country, different pockets of the world. And so, of course, right, after we kind of just coming out of the Project Blue Book and the Cold War, and kind of stuck in the middle of that, and being afraid of UFOs and all the rest of this, of course, the cattle mutilations kind of picked up the alien. What would you say? The alien agenda of sorts, right? Like we couldn't explain these things as being a terrestrial phenomenon. So instead, it ended up being discussed as a possible, little green men came down from the sky, from the stars, from choose your star system, and they came to mutilate the cattle. Now, with that said, kind of thinking about it, it does seem a little bit strange, does it not? It seems weird to me. So I did a little bit of looking into this, as I do. And of course, let me remind you, as we talk about this tonight, this is not the answer show. This is the question show. And so I'll tell you what I found, and I'll tell you what I think. But I want to caution you. As always, throughout the entire length of this show, from beginning 3 years ago to whenever this ends, don't take my word for this. Double check my sources. Make sure that if my logic is flawed, call me. It's part of the transparency process. That's why we do this live. It's why we've always done it live. When we were doing this on YouTube and nobody was listening, we had a phone number up, just in case. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, the question is this. The main question is this, and there are many sub-questions that go along with it. But what are cattle mutilations? And who is responsible for these things? There's no doubt they're happening. There's no doubt they're still happening, and I'm going to pull up a news article in just a sec here that kind of points us in that direction and proves they're still happening in Oregon, of all places. Oregon has had a rash of cattle mutilations, again, happening this year, the beginning of this year and into late 2020. And from time to time, they pop up in Oregon, in this one particular area of Oregon, among other places. So that's the question tonight. What exactly are these cattle mutilations, and what do you think is behind them? Is it little green men from the stars? Is it some sort of government disinformation program? Is it sort of like the satanic panic of the 80s? And these are cult ritual slaughterings of these animals? There's a lot of options here, right? And of course, not one single reason here will kind of cover all of them, because every case is its own individual thing. However, if all of these things are viable options, it seems like we have a whole weird world we live in, don't we? Talking about cattle mutilations tonight. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into exactly where this came from and why I'm talking about this. This is from opb.org. And I'm going to link it. As always, I'm going to link my sources. You guys can follow up on me. I prefer that you do, just to make sure I'm not pulling one over on you. That's not my game. I don't try and pull one over on you, but many people do. And so it's important, again, to kind of be able to trace these sources back to where I found them. So I am going to link these in let's see. Can I do this? My Facebook chat is broken. It's like squished down to this really tiny thing. And so let's see if we can make this work. Okay. So anyway, don't mind that. But okay. So this is I'll put it up on the screen. As you know, we are streaming on Facebook, we're streaming on YouTube, we're streaming on DLive, reading the chat, and we are also broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. I think I left that part out. But here we go. This is from opb.org, and the headline reads this: Mysterious cattle mutilations crop up again, this time with 7 dead in Central Oregon. And you know when this article was written and updated? Yeah, that's right. Today. April 20th. Happy 420, by the way. For those of you that partake, happy 420. But here we go. 7 cattle have been found mutilated over the last 3 months in Crook County, and the sheriff's office is actively investigating and hoping for a break in the case. This follows several recent cases in the past few years in rural Oregon. Quote, "Well, yeah, it makes us angry," Crook County Under Sheriff James Savage told the public media Northwest News Network. "It's upsetting because, again, it's our livelihood. It's how they make their money and how they feed their families and support themselves. And when the cattle mutilations, the killings, when it happens, it's needlessly a waste." Now, 1 dead mutilated cow was found in late February on private remote ranch land. The sheriff's office asked ranchers to check animals. Then 6 more dead cows turned up sprinkled through the county with missing body parts, according to Savage. He says there's very little physical evidence. Quote, "In a lot of cases we come down, it's a burglary or theft or whatever," Savage says. "We have suspects. We catch something on camera, or someone sees something or witnesses something. But this is so rural, it's just very tough to piece it together." Other recent cases of cattle mutilation have been reported in Wasco, Umatilla, Harney, and Wheeler and Lake counties in the last several years. The sheriffs from those several of those counties are trying to coordinate and share information. Now, what we're talking about again is cattle mutilations. And this, you think this may be one of those things that's kind of relegated back to 1977, right? 1975, somewhere in that age, where this kind of popped up as as viral as you could get back in those days. But no, this is happening. This article is from today. This is still happening out there in Oregon. And there's more. It continues, right? So not only is it happening in Oregon now, this is happening the world over, which kind of got me thinking in a number of angles here regarding cattle mutilations. Again, like I said, could this be little green men, kind of like they said, kind of like they described, kind of like the mythology has stated the years over? Or could this be some bizarre government program? Could this be the satanic panic of the 80s revisited, and we have some sort of ritual satanic killings of these cows? Who knows what's going on, right? Are people hungry? But again, I guess you can't really say hungry because they don't really steal the choice bits of these cows, if you catch my meaning. They're not eating these things. They're actually taking their tongues and, all of the weird stuff that makes cattle mutilation so bizarre. It'd be one thing entirely, right? So if you're like, okay, you're a rancher, you lose a cow, you go find the carcass, and it's just carved up. All right. They've taken all of the choice bits for eating, and it appears, they killed and they butchered and stole the meat from one of your cattle. All right. It would seem easy. Well, okay, as somebody, stealing some meat, this is what happened. But this is not what happens in these cases, and that's what makes these cases so bizarre. Because, of course, according to Wikipedia here, which is again, I like to call them the Ministry of Truth, because this is where truth is put out there in real time and changed and redacted, and that's what Wikipedia is, right? This is basically the modern day Ministry of Truth. Depending on where you go to get your information, it depends on or when you go. It depends on what they tell you about this. But anyway, as of right now, on this website, it says this: cattle mutilation is the killing and mutilation of cattle under unusual, usually bloodless, and anomalous circumstances. Worldwide, sheep, goats, horses, pigs, rabbits, cats, dogs, bison, deer, and elk have been reported mutilated with similar bloodless excisions, often an ear, eyeball, jaw flesh, tongue, lymph nodes, genitals, and rectum are removed. And that's what we're talking about tonight. And this is again, it would seem simple if people were just stealing meat, all right? But that's not what's happening here at all. They're kind of taking parts of these cattle that make no sense, and that's exactly what kind of got the little green men involved, right, with that mythology. So yeah, here we go. We got a phone call. We're going to take this. We're talking about cattle mutilations tonight, guys, and this is still happening. This is from today. 7 cattle dead in Central Oregon, mutilated in such a way that appears they are not being harvested for their meat. They're being harvested for their tongue, for their all these other things that we just described. So that's what we're talking about tonight. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Going to put the phone number up, and let's go to this phone call. This is, I believe, Paul from New Hampshire. Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Mike. How are you? Good to hear from you.
You too, sir. What is on your mind tonight? We're talking about cattle mutilations.
Really great. Yeah, great subject. Love it. Especially with what's been going on around us for the last year or two. Listen, I'm gonna get right off. You know how I roll, so I'll get right off with my theory on these things and why it's happening, and then maybe you can fill me in on some of your theories. But let's just say, I mean, this has been going on for so long, and it just seems to be at the right place at the right time, where there are people that have actually used this as really good evidence, by the way. This is some of the best evidence if we're going to talk about paranormal and weird things that happen, whether they're aliens or not. The facts are is that if you look at the planet, what would be the best thing for somebody studying, let's call it the Petri dish? and look at these things in the environment and how would this go down. And I think you just said this. They're not taking meat. They're not, we're not, cutting out steaks. We're not, killing cattle. There's not some guy out in the field. These things happen. They just drop dead. And also, this has happened to humans, by the way. This is a long-going thing. But, my theory in this right now is that, I don't know what's going on here in Oregon right at the moment, but it just keeps to see being a pattern of a nonstop rhetoric of every once in a while we have a bunch of cattle mutilations. And what would be the best way to test the environment would be by, maybe a bovine, maybe a frog in a pond. I mean, if you're going to Russia right now and testing water near the nuclear meltdown, we'd be looking at frogs and worms. But no, they're just constantly doing these things all across the world. So it's got to be really weird as far as somebody's doing this that knows what they're doing, or it's aliens. So, it's one or the other. It can't be just a simple a fox. I'm sorry, but fill me in, Mike, here. Where do we go here?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So it is the bizarre circumstances are what started all the rumors, right, about the aliens. And the little green men, like I said, if they came down and, like you said, if they were trying to actually take maybe a sample of something, I think the cow would be a good choice, in my opinion. People would be a good choice as well. Wink, wink, which we've talked about quite a lot on this show. But
a lot of missing people, by the way. I mean, you have to really go here when you talk about this subject. I just recently saw a documentary on, I think it was one of the major movie channels. I'm not going to say names, but and it was very interesting about hunters just disappearing in the middle of nowhere. And these hunters were like people that were just going out cruising out in the woods and, I'm going to go live in Alaska. These were local people that for ages have been going to the same spots and then just magically disappear. And one of two things happens. They find them naked in the woods, and that's very rare, by the way. And the biggest popular answer of where these people happen is they never show up again. They just disappear into thin air. And, the other thing about the cattle mutilations, there seems to always be a correlation of whether it's UFOs or black helicopters, some kind of sighting of aircraft. And it just is a nonstop rhetoric. This has been going on for years, Mike. Decades. And now here it is popping up again.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the question tonight. I don't know if we have answers here, and I will get to some of those aircraft because you are exactly correct that a lot of that has been reported in relation to some of this phenomenon that's happening with cattle mutilations in different parts of the world. So we'll talk about some of that.
And not just one time, Mike. Not just one time. This has happened over and over again. Black helicopters showing up after these mutilations. I don't know if you brought her name up. I just kind of popped in. Linda Moulton Howe has actually gathered quite a bit of evidence of this. And whether I believe in all her theories, that's another story. But she does have quite a bit of evidence along with other people that have shown it, especially the farmers. I think we have to go right to the farmers that have these things happen regularly in certain states and areas. And there's always a correlation between either one UFO sightings or, if not the night that this happens, the next night where you have aircraft that might be military that are unmarked that are showing up, that are there's an interest, the government's showing an interest in this, and they're not talking about it.
Exactly. We got to go, man. We're hitting a break here. This is Paul from New Hampshire, guys. Follow him on New Hampshire UFO Hunter. Thanks for the call, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Stay tuned for more cattle mutilations after the break. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and DLive. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. If you want to be part of the show tonight, we are talking about cattle mutilations. These things have been going on for decades and decades, and depending on the source you choose, possibly thousands of years. What the heck is going on with this? Love to hear from you tonight. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. What do you think the cattle mutilation phenomena is? You think this is more satanic panic from the 80s? Or do you think this is little green men? A government program? Lots of stuff to talk about. Lots of stuff to think about. Give us a call. We'll put you on the show. Just like this. Let's go to the phones. We got a call here. Thank you for waiting. You were on Troubled Minds with Mike. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
What's up, man? It's Scully from North Carolina.
Scully, how are you, my friend? Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, man? Happy 420.
Thank you. You too. You too.
Yeah, I got two stories that tie together. Well, they're experiences that we had, and I'll start with the first one. This one was in 2015, and now both of these things relate, and there's some interesting things that tie it together that I've never heard before with animal mutilations. But my older daughter, she never wanted to go for rides to go to sleep. But this was in 2015, and she really, really wanted to go. She's like, let's go for a ride. And she's just a child, she's like, go for a ride, go for a ride. So long story short, we load her in the truck, and we live out in the country. And, we farm. So we're backing down the driveway. When we got out to the dirt road, across our field, and we were growing soy at the time, across our field was a red orb. It was probably about 2 or 3 feet in a circle, and it was right above the trees. I mean, it wanted to be seen. It was pulsing, and when we saw it, my wife and I, we were watching it. It shot down, like it lowered itself into the tree line so we could see it moving behind and through the pine trees. It went through the pine trees and then went over to a clearing in the road, probably about 1,500 yards away, the opposite way that we were going to go. Now, that dirt road is 7 miles of dirt road on 100,000 acres of pine. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I told my wife, I said, we're following it. I want to see what this thing's doing. So whenever we started heading towards it, it raised up, went over, and then went down and looked like it disappeared, like it landed. So we started driving down the dirt road. I broke out my spotlight because I have a 2 million candle watt spotlight in my truck. We had the windows down. I'm looking out the left side, looking out the right side, and we're going really slow. We're going like 10 miles an hour down this dirt road. All of the sudden, a deer is standing in the road. This deer starts, it's starting to walk out in the road. But this is the interesting part. This deer looked like it was under hypnosis or something. I see a lot of deer. I see them every night. And this deer, something looked strange about the way it was moving. It looked like it was almost like it wasn't controlling itself, or it was hypnotized, or, something else had control of it. Its eyes looked funny. It was walking funny, and it was moving really slow. And at one point we actually stopped and we watched this thing because it was moving so damn slow. So then when it got across, my wife and I were like, that was weird. Something was not right about that. And, immediately I thought it was something connected to this red foo ball. So the deer crossed. We keep moving, and I'm looking for this foo ball. Well, there's side roads every now and again that are dirt and hunt. Hello?
I'm here. I'm with you. Just had a little hiccup on the internet. Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah. So we're shining our spotlight down these roads that are, like every 100 yards, 150 yards, And if you've ever pointed a spotlight in the woods at night, in the deep woods, that light goes until it hits something. I mean, it will go and go and go. So we point it down one dirt road, like a side road. You can see all the way down. Point it down another side road. You can see all the way down. We got to this one side road, and when we pointed the flashlight down, the beam, it just disappeared. It's like it stopped. It's almost like it went into a void. The light beam, instead of going and going down the road or hitting the trees, it just went into this one spot, and it just looked like the light disappeared. And it was weird because it was kind of it looked like a heat mirage, but this is at night, and this was in the fall. It was starting to get cold. So anyway, I was sitting there wondering, is that the foo ball and we just can't see it, and the light it's doing something dimensionally?
Yeah.
This is what I was thinking right then and there. It didn't take me days to meditate on this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's
so anyway.
Go ahead.
So anyway, long story short, my wife was like, all right, let's go. So we leave. Then 3 days later, bada bing, bada boom, guess what shows up in our field, our side field? A mutilated deer.
Really?
And yes. And as soon as I saw it, well, I could see the depression. But what was funny is that, I've tracked animals, and if you track enough animals, you see the paths they make. This deer, it looked like it just literally was dropped there. And it had its back leg was bent backwards. But as soon as I looked in and saw the deer, its mouth, its tongue was gone. You could see its teeth, and it looked like a crystal clear cut around its mouth. No gums, no tongue, just teeth. It had a hole in its neck. No blood, and underneath the back side of it, it had been cut like that too.
Holy smokes!
And I went back multiple days, and nothing would eat this thing. If an animal dies out here, the turkey vultures are on it. I mean, it doesn't last. Nothing would touch this damn deer. And it was probably about a week and a half in, I said something about it on Facebook, and literally the next day, I went back with my Nikon to take a picture, to get a few pictures of it, and there was a flat black truck, and two guys were scooping it up. And it was gone.
What in the world? Holy smokes, man. And that's the bizarre thing about this is that, so not only do they have these weird incisions, no blood, bizarre circumstances with lights in the sky or dark helicopters and things like this, then there's other bizarre things in the same instances of these mutilations where the predators won't touch it after it's dead. It sits there and it sits there and it sits there, and it barely even rots in some cases. Almost like the micro predators, the little bugs won't even touch it. Yeah, right.
This thing, it sat there because it was like a week, and I was like, you know what? I got an SD card and a new SD card. I was going to take a picture of it, but it was like a week or maybe even 8 or 9 days later. It wasn't swollen. There was no flies around it. It wasn't, blowing up. No scavengers had got it. And the first time I saw it, when I saw its mouth, I was shocked because I immediately thought about that red foo ball a few days before.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think if you see a UFO in the sky, like literally a UFO in the sky, and then this happens not just a couple days later, I think you've got a good chain of evidence there, man. That's absolutely nuts. Is this the only time? A couple questions for you, real quick. Did this happen in any sort of like rock formations or rivers or springs where any of this went down?
No, I live in a swamp.
Okay, fair enough. So
But I mean, they call it a swamp, but it's really a pine forest.
Okay, gotcha. One of those wet pine
It's
forests.
like 100,000 acre pine reserve.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So then second, did you ever see this UFO come back or anything happen that was similar after the fact?
Not then, but do you remember when I was telling you about remember I showed you the picture of the black triangle?
Yes, I do remember.
Okay, well, when I took that picture of the black triangle, that was actually the third time I had seen a black triangle, and that was the smaller one. But a few days after I took that photo, I saw 3 red foo balls, but they were in a triangle formation. So I've seen the red ones a couple times, but this night that we went down into the green swamp, it was just one of them. And I thought it was really weird that my daughter was saying, hey, she wanted to go out. I felt in my gut like there was a connection there somehow because it was out of character. And to this day, I still think about that. Like, was she picking up on this, or it was odd. And then when we saw that deer, its eyes looked funny. It was walking funny. The whole damn thing just left me, questioning everything.
Yeah, if there's one thing that deer don't do is hang out in the middle of a road. That's not something they do. They'll flash through it real quick, but that's not a thing. It's just not. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, this road is a dirt road, and it's back way in the woods, so deers will be around. And I wasn't spotlighting the deer. Deer will sit still if you spotlight them. But I wasn't spotlighting the deer. This deer, and it was weird when we first saw the deer because I felt like when we saw the deer and the way it was moving and looking in its eye, I almost felt like it was like something put it there to stall us.
Oh,
that did pop in my mind. Like, is what is happening here? Is this stalling us, or what is going on with this deer? And then when I seen it a few days later, I don't know if that was the same deer, but it was a mutilated deer. And, it's like a slap in the face. Like, obviously, we saw the red foo ball, and this deer was funny acting, and now there's one that looks like it dropped out of the sky into the field. I mean,
the crazy stuff.
I don't know.
That's crazy stuff. Exactly. I think, like I said, I think we've got some like making a case here. I think Linda Moulton Howe would be interested, and this is the type of thing that makes an investigation, right? You saw the lights in the sky. You go actually out the country road to follow the lights you saw in the sky, the red light, and then you end up upon this weird zombified deer in this odd state, just kind of chilling in the road, and then a mutilated deer ends up near your house, no less, like closer to your house than you found it, right? Is where this thing ended up. It's almost like you said, like they were messing with you. Weird, man, weird. Like this is exactly the type of stuff that we're talking about tonight. Is that there's a lot of it sort of fits when you see things in the sky and then things happen afterward. And this is not just the only time, clearly. I mean, there's tons and tons of people with accounts like this. And again, the other part, like I said, which we'll get to in the second half of the show, is that it's not just lights in the sky. It's sometimes people see black helicopters, right? Actual different, like a particular model of helicopter, which I'll pull up and we'll talk about. But crazy stuff, man, crazy stuff. Anything else while we got you on the phone? I appreciate the story. Lots of people in the chat are fascinated with this, as am I. This is why we do it, man. And we can share this stuff. Crazy stuff. Anything else while we got you on the phone?
Yeah, I can say this, that the area that I'm in, I do see flat black helicopters, flat green helicopters, and they fly so low that, I mean, by the time you hear them, they're already on top of you. They fly super low, man. Like, I mean, 100 feet above the tree line. So, but I'm in a military state, you know, so.
Yeah, same here. We get some low ones in Vegas too.
They are there.
Yeah, they're there. They're absolutely there. You were the best, my friend. Always a great story. Always great stuff to share with us. I appreciate it a lot. Like I said, go check the chat, man. People are fascinated, saying great call and great story and all this other stuff. We appreciate it a lot, man. This is a Scully from the Carolinas. You were the best, my friend. Thanks for the call.
All right, brother. Peace.
Have a good night. There you go. We are talking about cattle mutilations tonight. And as you heard Scully there tell his story, he started chasing a red light in the sky. He goes out a country road. He finds a deer in this zombified state that's just kind of chilling. He thinks the deer may have been put there, maybe, I don't know, I'm filling in some blanks here, through like a telepathic type of taking this animal over and putting him in the road to kind of stall them so they don't actually hit or find this bizarre red light. The light, he shines his super bright light out into the forest, and the light itself gets devoured. It disappears, almost as if it's hitting like a cloaking object or cloaking device. And then, to top it all off, a couple days later, near his house, he finds a mutilated deer that really matches all the things we're talking about. The bizarre mutilations, the fact that no predators will touch it, no tracks around the thing, all the rest of this, right? This is fantastic, and I hate to say, like, classic casebook type stuff. This is exactly the way this stuff comes and the way people have described these sort of incidents. And it seems like Scully there from the Carolinas has a perfect example of one. I appreciate the call. That's what we're talking about tonight. And so recently in Oregon, of all places, they're having cattle mutilations go down. Cattle mutilations are happening again. Let's pull up this article one more time so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to share the link. This is a new one talking about the same thing. This is from today. Again, Tuesday, April 20th. Happy 420 out there. All you folks that, like I said, the folks that partake, happy 420. This is from the Washington Times, though. Cattle in Oregon again found dead amid strange circumstances. And that's exactly what we're talking about tonight. These cattle mutilations have been going on for years, decades, even hundreds or thousands of years, depending on the source that you go after. And how are we supposed to know it's all the same? I don't know. That's the question, right? That's the question for tonight. If anybody has theories on this, I'm taking them all. We're going to put all this stuff together and do the best we can to figure out what's actually going on. But, people have said little green men, right? Actually said little green men are part of this, or part of what's going on with this. And so, I don't know. Or, government helicopters, or, again, like back to the satanic panic of the 80s, as these like ritual killings from like satanic cults. And again, remember, now this is the important thing to note, right? For the skeptics out there that are like head smacking and going, why are these guys talking about this? I'll explain. It's because this isn't just taking cattle for meat, all right? That's cut and dry. That's easily discovered, easily discussed, easily figured out, all right? This is not this at all. This is, again, killing and the mutilation of cattle under unusual, usually bloodless and anomalous circumstances, right? And we're talking about bloodless excisions, often the ear, eyeball, jaw flesh, tongue, lymph nodes, genitals, and rectum. And this is, again, from Wikipedia, one of my favorites, the Ministry of Truth. But that's what we're talking about tonight, this cattle mutilation phenomenon that continues, right? So like I said, you go back in the 1970s, mid-70s, there was a rash of this going all over the place. And it got a lot of press, and Linda Moulton Howe, I think as far back as then, like the late 70s, she was working on this stuff. And she's got a ton of good information. And if again, I'm not an expert, clearly, I'm kind of just following the trail from standing on the shoulders of giants and people that have kind of done their thing and really discussed this in length. But we haven't on this show yet. And so I think it's notable, one, that it's back in the news because it's happening in Oregon. But it's also notable that this continues to happen, and we don't really have a like an actual explanation for this. You know, I mean, there's some theories, which is what we're taking tonight. So if you guys want to be part of the show, we had a great call there from Scully from the Carolinas. If you want to be part of it, you know what to do. Give us a call. Phone number is this. I'm going to put the number up for a sec. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can be part of the show by joining the Discord as well. Troubledminds.org is the official website. Click the Discord link. You can find the phone number right at the top of the page. Excuse the under construction, other broken links, but the important things work. You can find the podcast there. You can find the phone number. You can find the Discord. Those are all the things that you need right there on top. Okay. But now, back to this. Mysterious cattle mutilations crop up again, this time with 7 dead in Central Oregon. Like, what the heck is going on out there? And I want to hear your theories tonight. We had a couple great calls already right off the bat. But if you have seen something like this, maybe you live out in these particular areas. I know we got Philip that lives out in Oregon there. And Philip has been pretty good about letting me know when these things happen out where he, kind of near where he lives, because it clearly hits the news. It hits the local news out by him. And so that's the thing, right? We want to do this. We want to talk about this, and we're going to continue doing this. If you want to be part of it tonight, 702-957-1037. I've got a phone call coming in, but we are kind of at almost break time. Here we go. Let's take the phone call, and then I'll give you the option if you want to wait and talk about this after the break as well. So here we go. Let's go to this phone call. You are on Troubled Minds with Mike. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
What?
Hello, you were on the show. What's your first name, and where are you calling from?
Oh, my name is Finley, and I'm calling from Oregon.
Finley from Oregon. How are you, my friend? So I want to let you know up front, we've got a minute before we take a break. So if you want to hang on after the break, you're definitely welcome to. So if you want to hang tight, I don't want to run you off super fast, but I just wanted to get to the call real fast so I didn't make you wait minutes before we got to you. But go ahead. Start with your theory, and then we'll get there when we get there.
Okay, well, it's really interesting that these cattle mutilations started happening, and I think that there's some sort of tie with the ancient alien type of context, maybe, possibly. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? It's just a theory. But, we used to sacrifice cattle and sheep to the gods way back in the biblical days, and nobody's ever really touched on that. Is that, oh wow, maybe the biblical gods, quote unquote, have come back and we're not sacrificing to them anymore, and so they're just going ahead and picking up some stuff out of the fields.
Yeah. Interesting you say that. I was going to touch on that in the second half here, because I've got some actual cattle worship and some mutilation, some different cultures from the past. I thought the same thing when I was thinking about this tonight. I think that's a fantastic theory. So we do have to go to a break. Do you want to hang on and do more of this, or are you done with the call? I'll give you the option, man.
Sure. No, I don't mind. I'll stay on for a second if you'll have me.
Okay, yeah. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. This is Finley from Oregon. I appreciate the call. I'm going to put you on hold. Hang tight, and we'll be right back to you. All right, so we're talking about cattle mutilation tonight, guys. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. We got to take a quick break, playing the break music and doing our thing. But more coming up. Cattle mutilations. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. We're talking about interesting things that nobody else talks about. More after the break. Don't go anywhere. This is Michael Strange from Troubled Minds. Did you hear that scientists recently discovered radio waves coming from Proxima Centauri? Well, I cannot confirm nor deny. We are broadcasting from that neck of the woods. You are listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who might also have troubled minds. This show's live if you want to be part of the show tonight. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We are streaming on YouTube, D-Live, and Facebook. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, as usual, we're talking about one of those things we're not allowed to talk about. This time, it's cattle mutilations. That's right, they're still happening. Back to the 70s, the 60s, hundreds of years ago, depending on which source you go by. But they're just happening. More articles hitting today about 7 cattle dead mysteriously in Central Oregon. We got a phone call on the deck, so we're going to go right back to the phone call. Thank you for waiting with us tonight. Thanks for being part of this. This is, we're talking about cattle mutilations and the rest of this, and Finley from Oregon had a fantastic take. Let's go back to Finley. Finley, welcome back to the show. If this unmutes ever, come on, you can do it. Come on, unmute. Come on, you can do it. Oh, the software was terrible. Welcome back, man. You're back.
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. So you had a fantastic theory about we're assuming that this is possibly like an extraterrestrial phenomena, and that the aliens are in some capacity maybe trying to get our attention with by mutilating cattle, which in the old days, like 2,000 years ago, and different religions all over the world, like India or in actually Babylon and some other places, right? They actually held cows in reverence as gods or deities or special creatures.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead, explain.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, if you go ahead and look at our history on the planet, humans have, had these god-type deities that they would do sacrifices to. And the sacrifices would involve cattle, bulls, sheep, and all this, and we kind of faded away from all that, just in evolution standpoint, learning about different technologies and, kind of the way that the church kind of, evolved past, giving people the right to do these things, and even pagan rituals, date back. And so you gotta look at that and be like, oh wow, we used to do this. We used to give blood sacrifices. I mean, it was a big thing. And now it's kind of like faded off. And so maybe there's a good chance that these quote unquote gods that we had in the past that were, part of our life and part of our sacrifices came back, and they're like, wow, man, they're not doing it, so we're just going to go ahead and do it ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. So here we go. This is from Wikipedia real quick. So there are varying beliefs about cattle in societies and religions, with cows, bulls, and calves being worshipped at various stages in history. As such, numerous peoples throughout the world have at one point in time honored bulls as sacred. In the Sumerian religion, Marduk is the bull of Utu. In Hinduism, Shiva's steed is Nandi, the bull, and it goes on and on and on.
Right.
And so here's another interesting one, too, that to kind of add to that. What if, let's say, we're going to go with the ancient astronaut theory, right? Giorgio Tsoukalos and the big hair and ancient aliens. We're going to just run with that.
Exactly.
Is that what if everybody, or what if they were actually, back then when they were here, bulls were sacred, and then now they're actually trying to mutilate them to get our attention somehow? or to maybe tell us, send us a message, right? And we don't care. We don't notice. We're butchering cows by the millions, right? The world over, or billions, probably.
Yeah.
So who knows, man? That's an interesting take, and it did cross my mind because I have some of that to talk about. But crazy stuff. Yeah, I think that's definitely good. Anything else? While we got you on tonight? I appreciate you waiting through the break there.
No, man. No, I appreciate your show, man. Keep up the good work, for sure.
I appreciate that. That's Finn from Oregon. Call back soon. Thank you for the call tonight. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, bye.
Thanks, bye. There you go. If you want to be part of the show tonight, we're talking about cattle mutilations. And that was a great call from Finley in Oregon. And I think he's got a point. I actually had considered that as I was prepping the show tonight. I was kind of thinking, all right, let's do the thing where we put it all out there and think of all the different angles that could happen or might not happen. Do I have? Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that, stream guys. I had you on double. Okay, you're not doubled anymore, so we're fixed. But okay. So anyway, interesting thought, right? Interesting theory that if the ancient alien theory holds true, the ancient astronaut theory, and we're talking about cattle mutilations now, are they doing this somehow to get our attention? They're trying to. We held cows sacred, right? Bulls, calves, cows sacred as thousands of years ago as these sacred animals, and now suddenly this is more a modern phenomenon, but maybe not entirely, right? Maybe not entirely. We'll get into some of that, but okay. So that's what we're talking about tonight. Great call. I appreciate that. If you guys want to be part of the show, you know what to do. 702-957-1037. Going to put the phone number up and keep on trucking. There's other interesting information here. So speaking of which, thank you for letting me know. We had the double reverb going on over there on the stream. Like I said, my buttons are out of whack tonight because Facebook has changed their layout entirely for the stream. So everything's backwards and upside down. Like I said, apt for the show. So thanks for pointing it out, guys, or else I would have missed it. But okay, anyway, let's go back to where we started here, right? Let's go back to, we have these mysterious cattle mutilations crop up in Oregon, all right? I'm going to put this up on the stream, and I'm going to link it again, so if people are just showing up, you know exactly what we're talking about tonight. But the weird part about all this is, let's just go back to the last 50 years. This has been something that's been happening. All right. This is something that's definitely been happening, been going on, and it doesn't seem to end. We're talking about like a rash of this back in the 70s, mid 70s. And then we have like the rest of this that continues like into. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Fixed. Echoes fixed. All right. But it continues right into not just the old days. We're talking about modern times. There's an article from today. From today, where they're talking about these things. And that's what we're talking about tonight. So I want to hear your theories. What do you think this is? These cattle mutilations with the mysterious circumstances, with the missing tongues, or missing genitals, or their lymph nodes, or whatever's going on with this. What's actually happening? I know Tim had a great take there that I scrolled up too far, so I can't go back and read it. But basically, I want to know what you guys think about this. Is this it's been said that cattle mutilations are linked to little green men. Aliens, right? Aliens show up and they do these things. But then it's also been linked to government programs, right? Black helicopters and things like this. So who knows, right? We had Scully call in earlier. Fantastic call, Scully. Thank you. Describing a situation that seemed to be pretty on par with something Linda Moulton Howe would have actually investigated, right? Where he saw red lights in the sky, and then this bizarre deer out on the road as they went to look for the UFO, and this thing ended up like a zombie deer, and it was kind of it seemed like it was maybe brainwashed, or it was just kind of standing in the middle of the road or something. But anyway, and then it ended up. Maybe not that deer, a different deer ended up in some sort of mutilated state closer to his home than he found that one that was kind of standing out there dazed in the road. So just some weird stuff happening, and that's exactly what we're talking about. What exactly is going on with this stuff? And let's go to Let's go. So Derek says he's going to call in just a minute, but I want to go back to this real quick before we get there. So waiting for Derek to call. We got this. This is from topsecretwriters.com. Fantastic website. I'm going to link this. And this actually describes some of the actual cattle mutilation, the history of it, right? The history behind this and how long this has been going on and some of the rest of this. So I'm going to, again, link, as always, link in my sources, guys. I want you to know where I got this information from, to know that I'm not making this stuff up, okay? So here we go. So cattle mutilations have been plaguing the farmers that suffer from them since the early 1600s. This is straight from the article. And an end to these unexplained incidents does not seem to be in sight. In case you're reading this and unaware of cattle mutilations, these are incidents that have been reported regarding dead animals, mostly in farms with certain organs missing and no proof of anyone coming or going. Investigators in the 1960s started taking it as a strong indication of an alien involvement, and stories spread far and wide about extraterrestrial beings lifting creatures up into their spaceships to conduct gruesome experiments on them before sending back the mutilated carcasses. And so, they say the first cattle mutilations, check this out, the first occurrences in the 1600s were said to be of similar nature. 1600s, guys. Hundreds of years ago. And so what happens today, where the sheep that were found to have very specific organs missing, people who spoke about the cattle mutilations at the time said it was a satanic force that was causing it or something that was of an unearthly nature. The first reported incident was witnessed by Alexandra Hamilton, not that one, a different one, Alexandra, who on April 21st, 1897, said that he heard humming noises that he followed only to witness what he described as an airship hovering over his cattle. He described it as a cigar-shaped craft that carried 6 of the strangest creatures he has ever seen, and this is a snippet from some of the exact words Alexandra used to describe the incident that later spread like wildfire. Here's the quote. This is crazy. Quote, "It seemed to pause and hover directly over a 2-year-old heifer, which was bawling and jumping, apparently fast in the fence. Going to her, we found a cable about a half-inch in thickness made of some red material, fastened in a slip knot around her neck, one end passing up to the vessel, and the heifer tangled in the wire fence. We tried to get it off, but could not, so we cut the wire loose and stood in amazement to see the ship, heifer, and all rise slowly, disappearing in the northwest." Now look, you may just roll your eyes and say, what the heck, right? But hold on. This is 1897. This is what? The Wright brothers were like 1910, right? Somewhere in that range. This is a solid almost 15 full years before the first actual aircraft. But we have this happen. Something hovering over the top of the heifer and with some sort of like cord attached. And yeah, craziness, right? Again, this is from topsecretwriters.com, and this is the history of cattle mutilations. And so it goes back. It's not just one spot where we're talking about, what happened today in Oregon, which of course just happened recently, or the 70s. We're talking about stuff that goes back hundreds of years here. Crazy stuff. All right, we got Derek from Massachusetts on the phone. Thank you for calling. This is the Night Stalker. How are you, my friend? Welcome to the show.
Going on, Michael? Great show tonight. Really cool stuff.
Thank you. What is your theory, my
There's
friend?
a little bit of echo on my end. I'm not sure if you're getting that too.
Yeah. Let me see if I can fix that.
Just letting you
know. Okay. Yes, I can fix it. Go right ahead, sir. What is your theory?
Okay. Sorry, I'm at work. I seem a little scrambled. I got to be fast. But so this is a really interesting topic to me, and I have a take based on I kind of stumbled upon it. Make a long story short, I think a lot of this stuff is like attached to trying to open portals, pretty much. So I was reading A Dunwich Horror, which by Lovecraft, which takes place at these mysterious stone circles, which he based around America's Stonehenge in New Hampshire, which is was used for like Baal worship and stuff, and trying to bring in these old ones into our reality. So in that story, the main character is trying to do these rituals. So he's mutilating cattle at the stone circles, and then he gets discovered by the town because it starts creating these rumbles and these fire in the sky that like shakes the whole town. So this increase in cattle mutilation and this increase in mysterious, strange booms and strange rumbles, I think it's connected. I think it's like trying to open portals. And you're asking, like, is it UFOs? Is it the government with the black helicopters? Is it ritual killings? And I think the answer is yes. It's like all of the above. And I think that UFOs use, to kind of simplify it, they use magic, basically. That you've heard a million times, that technology advanced enough is indistinguishable from magic. Like in Marvel Comics, Tony Stark, Iron Man, becomes the Sorcerer Supreme because in the future, because there really is no difference between magic and science. I mean, and like that's why Jack Parsons and all these like big tech people and like weird, like Silicon Valley people are all so into this like UFO phenomenon and otherworldly stuff. It's because it's kind of all mingled together. So the reason why they're taking like the sex organs, the tongue, the eyes, that's magic stuff. That's spell stuff. Like, so one theory that doesn't get talked about enough. I've heard it from one person, but then they didn't really have they didn't really understand why it was happening. But apparently, there's like a huge wave, like throughout history, of cattle mutilations along the 37th parallel, and that doesn't apply to Portland, but as all around the world, the 37th parallel, there's cattle mutilations, and people are trying to figure out why. And the only really commonality between like amongst the 37th parallel is that it has aquifers underneath it. It has this like groundwater that runs below it, which also is in Portland. I mean, is in Oregon too, so that would apply for them. But that's why I asked in the chat if the other caller's sighting was near a river or spring, because these mystical source waters, rivers, springs, wells, and stuff, they're attached to like the fabric of reality. So they are not necessarily portals, but they're like somehow in a way that we can't really grasp yet. They're used to open these doorways. You have to do these rituals along these rivers the same way the pyramids are along rivers, the Stonehenge is along a river. It's like a computer chip with the rivers being like the Ethernet cable sending the information from place to place. So the aliens are doing magic to open portals to travel around the universe. They don't fly out in space. They go from star system to star system via portal, is my opinion. Sorry, I rambled, but I wanted to get that all out there.
That's okay. That's okay, man. I followed you.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
One night I'll call when I'm not working, so I'll sound more calm, you know?
Okay. I appreciate it. Anything else while we got you on? To make sure we get everything?
That's basically it. That the government's probably doing it too. They're all these tech facilities, all these military bases and stuff. They're all in these window areas that like John Keel will talk about. These places where the realms kind of merge together. So kind of Stranger Things style. So by doing these rituals, and it's also the same with like terrorist attacks and that kind of stuff. They're all in these places where if you do something to it the same way like a rain dance creates rain, you shake the whole grid, you manipulate reality, and you can open these doors to bring in these old ones that they're worshiping, and also, if you're an alien, travel to wherever you want to go instantly. You know what I mean? And then, so the most important part, sorry, that when they're the 37th parallel thing, is that I don't know if this is everywhere, but especially along the 37th parallel, the way it happens is the cattle gets picked up from spot A, taken to spot B, where they're mutilated, and then brought back to kind of where spot A is, but not exactly, and dropped down, and that's spot C. So it's like they're picking these things up, like from farms, bringing it to the portal spot, to the spot where this opening is, this bridge area, doing the ritual, and then taking it back as to not affect the entire, like the biosphere. I mean, if you're plucking out, the trophic cascade rule, if you're plucking up animals out of the sphere, then that's microorganisms not using it. That's food sources. There's a ripple effect. So by throwing it back, but they don't really care like exactly where it goes. They're kind of haphazardly tossing it, and that's why it's point C. You know what I mean? So taking it from where it is, bringing it to this window area, this portal spot, doing the ritual, and chucking it back, kind of where they're supposed to, as to not disturb the environment, because like as if you're doing an experiment type of deal.
Gotcha. Put it back close enough so as to plausible deniability type of thing. Yeah, great take, man. As always, I think you're spot on with a lot of this stuff. We'll get into some of the black helicopter and some other things, but so you think all of it's possible, that it's all going on, all of that stuff, including the alien hypothesis?
Yeah, I think it's all kind of connected together. That these elites, that magic is 100% on the table with these aliens. You know, if it exists, why wouldn't they be using it? If there's power in it, if it is a technology. I mean, so we're not there yet, but I believe they're definitely there, you know, and just think Lovecraft, you know, that's kind of where the alien rituals kind of merge, you know. He's talking about both, and I think this was happening in real life. I got to get going, though.
Okay,
sorry
cool.
about talking so fast.
No, you're good. You're good,
thanks
bro.
for humoring me.
I appreciate the call. I appreciate the call. Thanks, man. Thank you. That's Derek from Massachusetts. He's known as the Night Stalker there. That's Stockerer. He works stalking at night. So there you go. I appreciate the call. Fantastic stuff. Now look, there we go. So he says his theory here is all these things are happening. So it is some sort of government program happening. He believes that there are ritual, maybe satanic cults or different cults or other things, maybe capturing and slaughtering these cattle for these cattle mutilations, right? But then also that it's possible that there's a vortex, a portal of sorts that needs some sort of ritual magic to open and travel through. And so, which again, we've talked about quite often. And I do like his reference of Lovecraft there and the old ones, is that what Cthulhu, right? What is the goal of Cthulhu, right? If you're in the Lovecraftian mythos, it's to take over the universe, and not just the universe, the omniverse, to take it all over, right? The ancient primordial old ones. And so, yeah, I like how we merge those things together, and I'm gonna take a hefty dose of the maybe juice, and I think this is good stuff. I think that's definitely good stuff. Fantastic call, my friend. So we're talking about cattle mutilations tonight, and so is it little green men, like we said? Right, like Derek there said, like I've kind of hinted at the mythology here. Is it a government program? Is it sneaky predators, right? I mean, we'll get into some of the debunks and all the rest of this as we go tonight. As we continue, we'll get into the black helicopters and the rest of this. But what do you think it is? Scully in the chat says, a great call. He's on it. Energy, vortex, and portals, right? It seems like a fantastic theory to me. I'm all on board with that. But we want to hear from you. What do you guys think about these cattle mutilations? They just happened again in Oregon. It's hitting the news again today, and we're here talking about it because that's what we do. We talk about weird stuff and weird things, and here we are again. Here we are again. If you're listening tonight, love to hear from you. 702-957-1037. What are these cattle mutilations? TroubledMinds.org, the official website. You can find the phone number and the Discord. Give us a call. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More cattle mutilations and discussion after the break. Be right back.
The truth is out there, and so are we. KTLK, Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and DLive. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we are talking about cattle mutilations. Supposedly, they've been happening for hundreds of years, possibly thousands. And yet, today, in the news, 7 more cattle mutilated under mysterious circumstances in Central Oregon. What the hell is going on out there? Some have said little green men, some have said government psyops, others have said ritual killings from satanic groups or what have you. Well, I don't know the answer. Spoiler alert. I have no idea. But we're taking your phone calls to find out what your theory is, what your take is on this, because it's definitely worth talking about. That's what we do. And if you want to be part of the show tonight, the number to call is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can be part of the show and go to troubledminds.org, the official website. You can find the phone number and the Discord link right on top, and you can join us. Easy as this. Easy as pie. Let's go to, we got a phone call here. Let's go to this phone call. What's up? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Mike, it's MJ in the chat room.
MJ, what's up, my man? How are you?
Good, how are you? My take on all of this is, first off, I think it has to do with more cloning and super soldier.
Okay, explain, please.
Okay, what they're doing with the cow blood, and they did this for a very long time, they use that as a serum, as a go-between to grow the clone to fit your essence or your being that gets transferred into the clone body. So it's more adaptable as far as that's concerned. There's no real magic in this because I've done magic, and it's not a sense of using these elements to do anything in particular. It's a combination of energy and light and a bunch of other stuff. Or some other stuff, not a bunch of other stuff. But my take on it is that's what they're doing. And right now, it's been reported that if you go to the super soldier sites and some of the stuff information I've gotten a hold of, that's up again. So they've been refining clone bodies for a very long time. And also that's where your hybrids are coming from. Not necessarily because they're using human bodies, because they trash the human bodies. They kill them through all of this. When they're abducted, they're gone. Some of them, but they use the human body as a host, and some of the liquid elements in the body to adhere, so they can make it more palatable for the hybrid to grow, and make it more adhere more to here instead of where they're at, or they can do both. So that's part of what's going on with that. So and the tongue and other things are used as fuel or feed to the fetus. And I was just asking, and I got information that take it with a grain of salt, everything. That you use a rectum as a skin or like an eggshell in a sense to grow the fetus in. They need something to protect it, like an egg type of thing, and that's what they're doing with that. So.
Okay, wait. So are you saying then that this is an alien phenomenon, and it's in league
it's
with
both now.
It's both now.
It's
so
us and them.
Okay.
I think in the beginning it was them, and then as we grew, we became more aware, and as some of the people sort of agreed to, hey, this is kind of cool, let's go find this out. I'm not necessarily saying it's been the military, because I think the military is on the watch out for it, but I also think some of the military is afraid of them. They don't want to get involved, but they want to stay far enough in so they can see what's going on, but they do not want to get involved with it. And they've been told to back off when it happens. Like the helicopters Scully was seeing. They'll see them flying around, because I saw those out in Arizona, and they fly very low. And it's a black helicopter, and they got like missiles on those things. And they're like, not even 100 feet off the ground. They're flying through canyons low to the ground. You can watch them, and the areas that you can find them flying in is also where you get reports of the orbs, the blue orbs, the red orbs, the green orb. But people report them, and then a couple of days later they show up. So that's something that seems to be consistent in everything. But we're in on this too now. We're not, because they sort of looked at it, and I think some of the scientists or some of the governments, and I don't necessarily would say the military's in on it or any particular government, maybe branches we don't know about, but they're also in on this too now. And that's why we're getting wind of it, and we're starting to see things.
And there would be your breakaway civilization, as Alex Jones says, right? Like an actual portion of humanity that has maybe had technology from these aliens or whatnot, and they're doing their thing outside of government circles, right? Is kind of what we're saying here.
Yeah, and it's not so much of a breakaway, because when you hear breakaway civilizations, that means they're totally gone, and they're still taking people up there. They're harvesting people, and their civilizations, they still have people there, and they're using for stuff. So it's not really a breakaway as such, but I mean, he was on the right track. They're not totally broken away because they keep coming back and getting abductions and all these other things. That keeps going on. And I think they just over the, hundreds of years, however you want to look at that, they've been trying to perfect, just through experimentation and perfecting their new breeds of beings they're doing, or it's just been a way of maybe of survival in a sense, or that part is kind of hard to do because it doesn't make sense if you have a species it breeds and consistently does that, but if you're running out of being able to breed, so you've got to get it some other way. But I think it's more for war, battling between extraterrestrials and humans.
Okay, so wait. So which wars? So we're fighting with them, and how? So
it's their war between each other, and now we're involved with it because they were harvesting our DNA to better their soldiers, and then we got into this thing of using us to do it, and because instead of sending our people out, let's send these people we made up out, and they can trash the clone. Let's say they save your essence or your being and can put it back in your body and drop you back in. I've been abducted, and I was taken out for like 4 or 5 days, but I was dropped back at the same time they took me, pretty much the same time. And that's happened several times. So, yeah, that is a fact. They can do that. And I kind of feel like that's what they're doing. They're taking you out, and you're maybe gone for 10 years, but they're dropping you back off in your life right where they took you out.
Right. So actually, have you heard of Randy Kramer? He actually said that he was that Marine on Mars, and something similar happened to him. He was taken as like a special individual to fight a battle on Mars, and then they, after he spent 20 years in service, they put him back on Earth when he was right where they took him from at the same time. So he was like 8 when they took him, and they put him back. He was 8 years again, but he was gone for 20 years, something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically it happens because I've had little short things happen, not big, hour, 5 days, nothing big, and I haven't really I haven't done any kind of regression to find out just what's going on with it, but I do recognize because I think I told you before, I woke up with burns on the right side of my arm one morning, and the scab was old. It was about a 3 to 5 day old scab from a burn, and I didn't have it when I went to bed, but I woke up with it. And I was feeling it. It was pretty much healed over. It was getting hard, like almost like plastic. And that it doesn't happen overnight. And I didn't get it in bed when I was sleeping. I just didn't get burned when I woke up. Hey, I slept last night on my sheets. I got a burn. I was taken. Something was done, and I had a burn from it.
Okay, I'm just looking at the catching up with the chat here. No, so good stuff here. So do you think that those other things are happening too? That there's like government programs where maybe part of disinformation to kind of hide this? Like people have said these helicopters pick these things up. Yeah, like that's happening.
Absolutely, because like Kelly was talking about that deer. That wasn't a deer. That was something that was placed in his mind, or it could have been an alien disguising, mind control thing. And then you see a deer, and it's staring. I had that happen with an owl. I was in Margaret T. Hans Park in Phoenix, Arizona, 3:30 in the morning, and I was walking my dog, and this huge owl. I mean, the thing was huge, like a condor, and it was flying around us. I was walking my dog, and I got back on the east side, to the east side of the library, and there's some grates, above ground grates. I sat down on them, and this owl just flew up, landed in one of those shorter palm trees. He looks to the right. He looks to the left, and then he looked straight down at me and just sat there. And it was like, okay, you got me. What do you want? And I got a sense, and I suddenly realized, I looked down and said, I got to go home. He got up and flew up to the church, landed on the steeple of the church as I was walking up the sidewalk staring at me, and I went down and back to my apartment. And what I really meant was having to come back home to Virginia. I had gotten my answer because I asked him, what do you want? And I found out later it was coming back home to Virginia, not coming back home to my apartment. So when you get these things, like that deer, to me, that when he said that, it's like, nah, it wasn't a deer. That was something else.
Something else, yeah.
But I mean, you see this stuff going on all the time, and most people are kept unaware. And I think the military come in to check things out, to kind of scramble everybody from, it's military's there. So it deflects what was going on, and you can't ask them about it. They got irate. So
yeah, then they're not going to tell you the truth anyway. We don't get the truth for even simple things. Yeah, interesting stuff, man. I hadn't actually considered all the things you're talking about. I try and get like a loose framework before we start of some places to go. But man, you guys surprised the hell out of me with where we're going with some of this. This is crazy stuff, and I appreciate it, man. Anything else while we got you on the phone tonight?
Nothing in particular.
You're the best. This is MJ from the Fringe Discord. Thank you for listening. Thanks for the call, my man.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a great night. There you go. So we got some really, really good takes on this stuff, considering basic. We started with the basics, and then we had Derek call from Massachusetts, and he's talking about maybe this is some sort of portal magic, where the aliens are showing up and they're using the ritual tongues or what have you, parts of these cattle to create something else. And then MJ says something completely different, that they're using them, these cattle mutilations, as some sort of alien hybridization program. And it's part of the super soldier and how there's a war between the aliens. Man, I'm telling you what. Like I said, sometimes you begin with one thought in your mind, and you end up in a completely different place. And that's the beauty of doing a live show. That's why we do it, to include you guys, because this is sublime. This makes the world go round. A good conversation, in my opinion. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, we are still talking about actual cattle mutilations. All right. So we had a news story today from Oregon. 7 more cattle. Not just mutilated, it was done in suspicious fashion, all right? Suspicious fashion, per usual, per the regular cattle mutilation things, right? No predation that they can tell, tongues removed, surgical type of incisions, things like this, right? What do you call it? The genitals removed from these cows, and all kinds of different things, right? So the question is, what do you think this is? Open to all topics, all angles on this. And again, where I kind of started tonight was, is this a government project with these black helicopters, which I'll get to in a sec with some FOIAs and some other stuff. But, we got into some portals and some aliens and some hybridization programs. But is this simple too? Is it as simple as just some ritual killings from locals, kind of making jokes of things? Who knows, right? I think that's really the deal that we're talking about here. We have to kind of consider all the possibilities. But let's do that. Let's go to the... Now, there's more here. This is from the blackvault.com regarding cattle mutilations, okay? Now, the Black Vault, of course, we all know is John Greenwald Jr. He does fantastic work. He's got over 2 million pages of FOIA information on his website. FOIA would be the Freedom of Information Act. And he actually files these things. He's been doing this for over 20 years, 25 years, I believe. And he actually got some information regarding these cattle mutilations, okay? Actual FOIAs. Now, check this out. This gets a little bit weird. So I'm going to just burn through this real fast. We're still taking your calls. If you guys want to be part of the show, I'm going to put up the phone number. Actually, I'll read it. 702-957-1037. Go to troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Get in here. I want to hear what you have to say about this cattle mutilation stuff. But look at this. This is a little bit weird. Let me find the exact spot. It's a PDF, so it ends up being. Let's see. Here we go. All right, here we go. Now this is a redacted PDF from John Greenwald Jr.'s The Black Vault through FOIA, right, regarding animal and cattle mutilation. Look at this. On this, October 30th, 1979. Somebody telephonically advised the Butte office of the FBI, this is Butte, Montana, that his office is investigating approximately 12 cases of cattle mutilations in the blank area, redacted area, it doesn't say. The helicopter is being used for the purpose of lifting cattle. Okay, I'm going to slow down. A helicopter is being used for the purpose of lifting cattle from one area to the other. And then at the location where the cattle are placed, mutilations are performed, such as removing the sex organs of the animals or the brains, or in some cases, only bleeding of the animal with no further removal of the organs. He advised that the meat has apparently not been taken for use. Again, this is from a actual Freedom of Information Act given to John Greenwald Jr. of the Black Vault, and this is from 1979. They're talking about cattle mutilations and what this is. Now listen, they're describing a particular helicopter. All right? Now this continues. Like a helicopter that actually picked up these cattle, moved them to another place for mutilation, and then brought them back. Very much like Derek said there when he called, is that they're moving them to another spot to harvest whatever they're doing and then bringing them back for some bizarre reason, right? But they're, instead of seeing the red lights like Scully said in the sky, we're actually looking at helicopters. Actual helicopters, all right? Here we go. So Redacted, whoever this person is, advised that witnesses have observed the helicopter in the area and actually transporting carcasses of these mutilated cattle. It continues. The helicopter has been described as a Bell 47, gunmetal gray in color, with black letters on the side of the body. The first two digits in the registration number are NZ. No further numbers observed. Advised that the first character N indicates... Okay, so there we go. I think we can probably... There's more to this. If you guys want to read some of this stuff, again, I'm going to link it. I think I just did. I'm going to link it again. This is where this information comes from, like actual Freedom of Information Act, that the FBI and the CIA and the rest of these folks were actually out there considering what was going on with this. Now we're running out of time here, so I got to get to the chase here real quick. But this is the weird part, right? This is the weird part. So they said the helicopter itself that they spotted, somebody noticed it was a Bell 47 gunmetal gray in color, okay? Bell 47 gunmetal gray. All right, now check this out. Now a Bell 47, I was looking into this, of course, right? You got to look into this to know what the hell you're talking about. Check this out. A Bell 47 in particular has it's one of these little tiny helicopters, right? Except that, you can see it right there on the screen. But, okay. Now, oddly enough, I was looking at the Bell 47 actual weight capacity this thing can carry, okay? So its empty weight is 1,893 pounds of this Bell 47 experimental aircraft, which was, again, reported in 1979, supposedly carrying away mutilated cattle to a different point, mutilating them and bringing them back. People observe these things as actually depicted in these FOIAs. Now, this is the important part. Listen to this. The empty weight of this helicopter is 1,893 pounds. We're going to say 1,900 just for easy math. All right. The maximum takeoff weight is 2,950 pounds. All right. So we got 1,900 and 2,950. So basically, we're working with 1,050 pounds capacity. This thing. All right. Now put a person in there. Let's call it a skinny person, 150 pounds. Now we're working with 850 pound capacity of this particular helicopter, the Bell 57, all right? 850 pound capacity. They're moving cattle around, mutilating them. Okay, well, check this out. I checked it. I looked into it, of course, because, well, that's what I do. And how much does a cow weigh? Anybody know how much a cow weighs? So if you've got 850 pounds playroom to pick this cow up, move him to a different spot with this Bell 47 helicopter. Well, okay. How much does a cow weigh? This is from howmonk.com, and here you go. In the U.S., the average weight of a mature beef cow, such as Angus, is about 1,200 pounds. 1,200 pounds. All right? So, okay. So that particular helicopter that people spotted supposedly moving these cows all over the place for mutilations back from this FOIA, it couldn't be unless this was they misidentified this helicopter, right? Yeah. Sean, what's up in the chat? Today, I'll show you that news article as we go tonight. Now, okay, but hold on. You get the point. So we're dealing with approximately 850 pounds from this Bell, what's this? Bell 47 helicopter, all right? And then these cows, on average, weigh 1,200. It can't do it. It can't do it. Like this is, so there's some weird stuff going on with this government type of hypothesis, okay? And again, this is from theblackvault.com, talking about cattle mutilations and some of these other things that this couldn't be. Either they misidentified this helicopter, they had a very specific name of this helicopter in this FOIA request, and once you put a person in there, this thing couldn't take off picking up a cow. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the more you look into this, the more things get suspicious. Like, what the heck is really going on here with these cattle mutilations and the rest of this stuff? But anyway, all right. So as we finish this, the question still remains: what is all of this about? The cattle mutilations, and yeah, I mean, is it alien? Is it ritual? Is it again satanic panic from the 80s? What the heck is really going on with this stuff? And that's what we do. That's what we talk about on this show because well, very few others do. Very few others do. So if you guys are into this and you like this show, and you do me a favor, please, just spread the word. Just tell people, hey, come listen to this show, man. They talk about man, woman, child, etc., so on. Come listen. Come listen. There's a lot of things happening out there that are peculiar, that are interesting, that are not mainstream drivel, that can be talked about. And that's what we do on this show. So in conclusion here, I don't know. I think like Derek said, I think we have to keep all options on the table here with the alien hypothesis, right? The little green men doing these cattle mutilations. I think we have to keep the government psyop on the table. What's going on with these black helicopters supposedly transporting these cattle to different spots for actual mutilations and then returning them, or is this some sort of like ritual type thing happening for other purposes, other terrestrial purposes? I think we have to keep our minds open to all this. I see there we got a call, Beechwood. We'll go to you right after the break. Okay, hang tight, Beechwood. Don't go anywhere. But this is the deal, right? So as we finish this up, this is the end of Troubled Minds on Fringe. If you guys are listening on the Fringe FM, well, don't go anywhere, because you've got coming up at 9 o'clock, top of the hour, we've got Joe Roop, Lighting the Void. Good stuff. If you're listening on YouTube, DLive, or Facebook, we got one more hour of Troubled Minds. We're going to be doing this, still taking your phone calls, talking about cattle mutilations. What the hell is this all about? That's really what's going on here, is the questions. I wish I had answers for this. I do not. We're going to keep talking about it because this is a interesting topic in my opinion. But the conversation continues. That's what this is about. All right, so we're done. We are done on Fringe. Thanks for hanging out. One more hour. DLive, YouTube, Facebook, Fringe FM. Stay tuned for Joe Roop, Lighting the Void. Be sure, be strong, be true. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Thank you for listening, guys. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. This is Michael Strange from Troubled Minds. Did you hear that scientists recently discovered radio waves coming from Proxima Centauri? Well, I cannot confirm nor deny. We are broadcasting from that neck of the woods. You are listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. guys, what's up? We're going to take a couple-minute break. You guys know the drill. So we've got another hour of Troubled Minds. We are now off the radio, so we can let our hair down, drop an F-bomb here or there. It's all good. Not like we're dying to curse or anything, but it takes a little pressure off some folks that actually, the sailors out there. You know who I'm talking to? The sailors. We're still talking cattle mutilations. What do you think this stuff is? Again, right? We've had some fantastic takes tonight for some fantastic people. Do you think it's something as mundane as just some ritual butchering of cattle, or do you think it's a little more nefarious, a little more, let's say fantastical with alien hybrids and the rest of these things? Like, what the heck is actually going on with this? And we're talking about it because, again, I'm going to link this, so I know we have people coming and going during the show. But yeah, somebody asked in the chat, hey, anybody know of any of this happening recently? Yeah, today. there's the article. I'm going to drop it in the chat. The reason we're talking about it is because this article hit today. They're talking about this today. So, okay, here we go. So take a 2-minute break, go do your thing, tuck the kids in, top off your drink, grab some popcorn, hit the restroom, do what you got to do. 2-minute break. We're going to be right back with another hour of Troubled Minds. We are talking cattle mutilation. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. We are talking about cattle mutilations tonight. We got a couple calls. Let's go straight to them. Let's go to Beechwood. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Oh, doing wonderful. It was a good show. I was enjoying it a lot. I really like the South Carolina story, and that kind of matches up with the guy from Mass. But cattle mutilations and animal mutilations, I've never witnessed anything myself other than hearing stories. If you ask me, I say it's got to be either aliens, government, people, or like a natural phenomenon. Like a lot of people in the Spanish culture do believe in like that chupacabra stuff. But from seeing what they're given from the reports, it's like surgical precision, and it seems very clean. They talk about there not being much of a mess, with the blood and stuff. And it's just interesting because of what they take and what it's taken from the animals and like how it could be useful. So I try to look at like stuff that humans utilize from animals. And I mean, we use everything and anything, to make stuff. But it's been happening for so long, and nobody has an answer, but it's like the evidence is there. But I just noticed there's a direct connection between kind of like, extraterrestrial, alien, and then like the satanic religious type stuff. And I just noticed that it always seems to be hooved animals for the most part. And I just thought that's weird. Like, what's with the animals with hooves? And then, they talk about like Satan having hooves, and stuff like that. And I don't know, this way it kind of stumps me. I don't have like an actual take on it, what I think it is. I think they're real though, and I don't think that it's people doing a hoax. But yeah, that was just my little take on it. I didn't have too much on it to say, but definitely noticed a couple of things.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff with it for sure. I don't know if if I had answers, I'd just be spitting answers, and I just don't. There's so much, so many good takes on this, and again, right? So, did you know they actually had FOIA documents regarding this, Freedom of Information Act, where they've looked into this, and so not only that, like I just started in kind of looking at that in particular to kind of make a quick point here, but this goes on 131 pages of cattle mutilation instances. And there's 2 documents, 131 pages, and then another 10 on top of that. And I'll bet you there's more that they haven't released yet, right? Crazy stuff. So, I mean, it tells you whether the government is doing or not, they're definitely looking into the actual phenomena of this thing, right?
Oh, definitely. And I don't think all of them, make the mainstream media. I think this is something that happens so much they kind of don't have a choice but to put it, obviously it makes local news, but like in the 70s, my father was up in Alaska. He was in the military, and he never saw a mutilated animal, but he said there were these old Jeep paths, and they went and they found an area where they tested Agent Orange, and they think that's what it was. He said as far as you could see, everything was dead, and he said that they saw a moose, and the thing was it was stiff, and it was whole, and it wasn't rotten, and it was dead. They don't know how long it was dead, but he said it was straight, stiff as a board, and it was fresh, preserved. And then he said people used to see stuff up in the sky there all the time, and they used to say it, and they used to just tell him, "Shut up, you're crazy." But yeah, no, that's it. That's just my take. It was a good show. A lot of good calls tonight. I liked hearing the stories. So
yeah, definitely. Me too. I appreciate it, my man. That's Beechwood from Massachusetts. Go Red Sox, dare I say?
Maybe. I'm a Celtics guy.
Okay, fair enough. Beechwood, you're the best. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for the call. Have a great night, man.
Take it easy.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Yeah, there you go. All right, so that's Beechwood again. If you guys want to be part of the show, we're talking about cattle mutilations tonight. And what does this mean, right? We've had some theories on what this is. Whether it's some sort of portal magic, whether this is some sort of alien hybrid, super soldier type program, or again, it's something as mundane as it's a government program that's basically just maybe disinformation of sorts, right? I mean, I'm always open to those takes because unfortunately, we just can't trust a damn thing our government tells us. So here we are trying to figure out what the hell is really going on. But okay, thanks Beechwood for the call. We got one more on deck. If you guys want to queue up, we're still taking your phone calls, talking about actual cattle mutilations. I see you, Wizard Oz Time Lord 369. I see you on D Live. What's up, buddy? Thank you. Yes, I have heard of Coast to Coast. I used to listen to Art Bell when I was a young man, a very, very young man. So yes, he's definitely an inspiration for this show. So thank you for showing up. Thanks for being enthusiastic. Let's go to Kelly in Colorado. What's up, my man? If this ever goes, there we go. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you?
What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
Oh, man, talking about all kinds of weird shit like we always do. What do you think about this cattle mutilation stuff?
I looked into that as well. As anybody does in our, in our type field, that we look into all kinds of bizarre shit. So, yeah, cattle mutilations. The one that really got me into is following Molten Howell for a while, some of her research. But yeah, she's got, what was interesting about her, because you hear stories about people, trying to say it was a hoax or whatnot. But there's some information that was not released that, that actually was talked about a guy earlier. I can't remember his name, but yeah, when they saying that not only the fact that we're the parts that they're taking from the facial skeletal of the bones, the muscle tissue. Not only that, but specific parts, and from the inside, and then left no blood. But the interesting part that was left out for a while was that these animals wasn't touched by another animal or any other bacteria or flies or any other kind of, biological, decomposition that, that happens naturally. That's one thing I did want to call up. I was waiting, for the third hour to talk about that. That part, though, that was the interesting part because, that was kind of withheld because she knew that, when, people trying to debunk that is that, for me anyway, I believe it has to be an alien, I guess it'd be an alien. What would you call it, issue or an thing a phenomenon that's happening?
Yeah, like so basically, so as far as we're aware for like a terrestrial type things, if an animal dies, like it gets consumed quickly. Like they even have time lapses of these things, like huge animals just being devoured by ants and like microscopic critters just literally just destroying these things like a voracious appetite of unseen things you don't even ever see. It's unbelievable, right? I mean, you can find them all over the internet. It's fascinating. But then the thing is that if we have one of these cattle die or deer or sheep, or because it's not just cattle, it's all these other things as well. When they die in these mysterious ways, they don't get consumed by predators, including the microscopic ones, even the little guys that usually just devour the shit out of something like instantly. And like we can probably have like a bear carcass be devoured in a matter of a week, right? From like all that flesh from these tiny things. And in some cases here, we're talking about they don't get touched at all. It's like it's almost like you poured bleach on it, right? Because then it makes it inedible and nobody wants to touch it. But that's not the case at all. They just don't touch it. Like they sent something on it that's not of our world. I think that's maybe a good way to put it, right?
Yeah. Another thing could be that it could be rape somehow. You know what I mean? On the molecular, cellular level. Where they're not even. It won't even. Everything will stay away from it. What's interesting too is earlier when what's his name from Jersey. He was talking about even like that happening with human beings. There's 3 cases that are known, but one of them was dated back like in '94, and 2 of them were in 2009. 2 different states in Brazil, but the interesting parts were that they had the same kind of markings. They had like 2 cookie hole cutter shaped size on the chest. Part of the jaw was missing, the ear, the eyelid, the ear was removed, the lips, part of the jawbone was removed, and yet they actually had no blood either. But they were testing it from the blood, and that they did test it and stuff. They found out that the person was alive when all this happened. All 3 people. Because of they were saying that it wasn't dead. The person wasn't dead first, but they were alive when that happened. But the cattle mutilations, this been talked about for thousands of years. Even go back hundreds of thousands of years of cattle mutilations, and I've heard different stories. I've throughout the UFO, research that most if most people like myself, they look at a lot of videos. One was a guy that was claimed that he was taken by aliens. I don't know what, can't remember the name of the creature, the species it was, but he said he was taken to the moon, and there they were like made to work, like in mining. But the reason why he was saying that they were seeing before they, take off, they were doing mutilation, but they were taking these protein cells from the, bone tissue and cell tissue, reproductive too. The reason why they were saying, he said, this is what he claims, is that when they were up on the moon, they used that type of part from the cow to make I guess it was like a protein that the humans could digest. That they could eat for, as an energy source, like a type of food. They could actually even sink into it and then, like breathe it or like swallow it that way. It was a weird story that I came across that he was talking about, but that was one, kind of a theory, I guess, but that's something I ran across.
Yeah, it's definitely weird stuff. So, do you think that the government somehow has a hand in this? Do you think that one, let's say it is extraterrestrial in origin, do you think they know about it and they're maybe pulling shenanigans to cover these things up if possible? Or do you think it's maybe just happening without their knowledge, if that's the case?
Well, I don't think everything is happening on the planet they're ever going to know. But if they ever find like information or people call in about the stuff, I'm pretty sure they're going to investigate. They want to know what's going on as well. That's why they had like that Freedom of Information Act that you were talking about there and was showing. They looked into it, and it's a very weird phenomenon that finding out that everything was, all these animals were showing the same effects. They weren't being eaten, even like you're saying on a cellular level. But what's interesting, people talk about like the black helicopters that are introduced or like, part of or was around when these animals were found to be mutilated. And my theory on that you could take another take at it, is are we sure that there are helicopters? And the reason why I say that is because I point out to the fact that if you go to the Temple of Seti in Abydos, Egypt, you see the inscriptions that that's where you find the thing that looks like a helicopter or looks like people call it a tank. But to me, they just look like different shaped UFOs that are in the hieroglyphs on the side of the wall in Abydos. It looks like a helicopter. As a matter of fact, if you take a picture next to it side by side, it almost looks like an H-60 helicopter. That's a helicopter that I used to work on when I was in the military.
And so, meaning what though? Meaning that this technology has been around a very long time. Interestingly, you say that. Hold on, I asked the question. Let me interject this real quick. So we just had this Mars copter land on Mars, right? Supposedly. So, and I just say that because I know some people don't believe whatever. But anyway, so the Mars copter lands on Mars, or it takes off and it lands on Mars. Now, interestingly, I saw like a side-by-side comparison of that Leonardo da Vinci copter from like the Middle Ages, and it looks almost identical to the one they put on Mars. Like, what the hell's going on with this? Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. I don't have it pulled up because it just came to me right now, but what the hell, right? So meaning that they have these helicopters maybe written in stone on the walls of the Egyptian pyramids somehow. How does it connect? How does that connect?
What I'm saying is, if you look at it, maybe it's their aircraft as well. Because why would you have a picture of a helicopter, and actually an H-60 helicopter, on the side of an Egyptian wall back in, thousands of years, 3,000, 4? Well, we're in 2021, so you're talking almost 5,000, 6,000 years ago. What I'm saying is, if this is the case, like you hear the saying of, the reason why you see cave drawings or paintings or carvings is because these people seen it, right? That's why they painted it and carved it. It's not because, it was mythology. That's what I'm getting at. So if that's the case, if they have a picture of that in Egypt, maybe that craft was also flying around in the skies, not only Vimanas from India or anything like they call, because those things they said look like cities, which they kind of do, the shape of it. But what I'm saying is, if that was the case, maybe that's their aircraft too. Maybe not all the helicopters that they're seeing is what, military is what I'm saying. Maybe it could be their aircraft.
Okay, I'm with you. And so there's some connection here. So does that mean there's a time travel connection or something entirely different, like ancient technology?
No, I'm talking ancient technology that we're just starting to create. Because actually the helicopter shouldn't even be flying in the sky. It actually, it defies physics. It just chops up the air is what it does. That's where it creates lift, right? And then, you have a thrust trying to move it forward. But if you're looking at, even Da Vinci, but like you look at Abydos is what I'm saying, the Temple of Seti. You look at that thing and that looks like an H-60 helicopter. Yeah, that was their technology and it was back then. What I'm saying and now, though, like if these people are saying that, or you could have, besides the orbs that people are saying, there's, like that guy was explaining, which is actually an awesome story, by the way. But not only orbs, but like helicopters, right? Everybody says they see black helicopters. It's always a black helicopter. Now, helicopters for the military, mostly for, that's, you could have, special ops or whatnot. But those helicopters are going to be, those are a lot of test ones, they're not going to be, those are the actually ones you're not even going to be seeing. That's kind of like the ones that they supposedly took in when they took out, what's that terrorist's name? Saddam Hussein, right? Or not Saddam Hussein, but
Osama bin Laden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When they took him out, right? That helicopter, it was an 860 design, but the propellers on the back end of those things, it was, when they come in, you can't hear them. They're actually almost silent. It's almost like if you ever hear like an older style helicopter with just the 2 props instead of the 4. When they come in with the slow, like, it almost like on, when they talk about, or when you see a movie and they slow it in slow motion, you can hear just like a poof, 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 poof. Just it's very silent. But yet that rotor is doing, the torque on that rotor is moving those rotors pretty fast, right? You know what I mean? I don't know the numbers right now, but what I'm saying is if these helicopters, right, our technology now is that what I'm saying is that, these people that see these things too, they're saying that are black, they're all black, right? No numbers, no markings, actually pretty silent, they just come and go. Are you sure that's ours? Right? That's what I'm just saying. It could be a speculation of, and I just give the example of, the Temple of Seti and Abydos. Pretty interesting.
I see. Actually, we have a Copper Mustache posted in Discord here. For those of you that don't use Discord, I'm talking to you out there. Great way to share information here. So we've got exactly what Kelly was talking about right there on the screen. We've got the AH-60. That was the old Apache, right? They used to call this the Apache attack helicopter. Am I right?
No, the Apache attack helicopter, it's more of a thinner. It almost kind of looks like they would say like a praying mantis kind of, looking over. And that thing can be loaded with different weapons. The pilot sits more like in the center of the aircraft. The H-60 aircraft is like the Black Hawk. That's the Army's version of it. It's a Black Hawk. And
I see. Okay. I was just
the ones the ones the Navy use our paint scheme is more of a gray because we're out in the water. And then we have, if you look at the helicopter from the bottom, we try to use it like the sky color, so you can't really see it.
Right.
It's a whole paint scheme is what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I got you. So Copper Mustache actually sent us that link, exactly what you're talking about, where we have the actual helicopter hieroglyph that kind of very much matches what you're talking about. It's up on the screen right now. Thank you for doing that, Copper Mustache. Again, this is what makes the show go around, right? We get contributions I had never considered, and they're coming through from Kelly on the phone. We got people linking them in the chat, and this makes a fantastic show. So I appreciate it, guys. But yeah, so how does this all relate back to do you think there's any of this cattle mutilation stuff going on that is maybe this portal magic or alien hybridization type stuff, or any of these other things that people have called in and talked about previously?
That was interesting about the one he was saying we're on the 37 parallel. But I don't know. I've never really heard about much of that. I know on the 33rd degree parallel is where, Sidonia is where, like the Sidonia area, which was, ancient, Babylon or even Iraq, what it is Iraq now. But and the same thing that's in Mars, we talked about that earlier, a long time ago. Anyway, what I'm saying is, yeah, but the water aquifer part, and that's the same thing like what Tesla did, like when he was here in Colorado, when he had the Tesla tower, because the aquifer from underneath the tower, right, you can have it like where it was pumped, and that's where they believe that was underneath, like the temple of, the pyramids in Egypt, is they underneath because they had like a cave system, so they were down underneath there, underneath the pyramids, and they have like a looks like they might have combined, I guess it was a somewhat of a chemical, and then water was pumped, and it created a vibration underneath it, right? Well, it was, it's kind of like a pump inside it, underneath the pyramid, and it created more, the vibration underneath it created more like a power unit. And so that's the same thing, which was the Tesla tower. He was doing the same thing. It was the same concept. That's where he got the same thing, is that from underneath the ground, creating a vibration or a frequency like that. And, that type of stuff is always going to be, every planet is going to have that. That's where you're going to find, like, the Bermuda Triangle or the Dragon Triangle on over there by Japan area. You're going to find all these weird stuff. People are, that's where we're really, I think that, scientists are having a lot of these, satellites up there is trying to find these, these energy sources, or, that can and will open up portals to different stuff. Because it's weird what's strange is you see even like on Coast to Coast, right? For example, these weird videos that people send in, like the other day was in Florida where it looked like the little like a raptor looks like running through her backyard or something on her video that she has for her security. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but like weird stuff like that, you know what I mean? People see like, these stories that are, back east, like the Goat Man or Mothman or weird shit like that, these weird, or even Bigfoot that come and go like out of nowhere. Some people say they got cave systems, or you could even be like that like it opens up a portal somewhere. Who knows?
Yeah, no, agreed. And I think that's why, again, the deal. That's why we talk about this stuff, man. That's why we do it this way, because one person can't see it all. There's so many things to see out there in the universe that, you get a dozen people, the more people, the merrier, basically. You end up seeing some different things you never would have thought about. And you're right. You're right. A lot of this stuff is exactly kind of in the vein of the show, man. Like I always say, you're the best, man. And I don't know. I'm not sure what else to say. You're spot on with so much of this stuff. With your one, you've got military insight. Two, you've seen some shit that nobody's seen, and then you got hot takes on all of it. I appreciate it, man.
No problem, man. Hey, happy 420 to everybody out there.
You too, bro. You too. Do you partake?
Well, of course, I'm actually partaking right now. As we've been, as you guys drink your beers, this is what I do. Nice.
Cheers to you, my friend. Cheers to you and the wife. Thanks for listening, guys. You guys are the best. I appreciate the call.
All right, man.
Thanks, Kelly. Have a good night. Happy 420. Happy 420. All right, we got. We're still talking cattle mutilations, guys. If you got takes on this, this has been going on for a long time. If you want to be a part of the show, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link. Happy 420. If you're out there doing your thing, I appreciate it. Do you? I'll do me, and we'll get together and we'll have a good time. We got Axel Steele. Axel is on the Discord. Let's go, Axel. You're on Trouble Minds Mike. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Mike, it's Axel. Sorry if I figured I'd talk about Operation Gas Buggy and this book I read about it a couple of years ago, if you haven't gotten around to it yet. Have not. Yes, I'd love to hear it. So this all comes from a book called Dulce Base, whatever the name of that base is in Arizona or whatever it is. New Mexico. By Greg Valdez. He's strictly a no aliens person, so aliens don't appear in this story. But his father was a policeman on the tribal lands around there where a lot of the cattle mutilations happened in the 70s. But back to Operation Gas Buggy. So in the 60s, there was this government-sponsored idea that we were going to find peaceful uses for nuclear weapons. And some of that included basically using nuclear weapons as like a primitive form of fracking. They were like, we'll set these nukes off underground and it will free up like a lot of this natural gas to be exploited. They tried it a couple times. One of them was in the Gas Buggy region of some state nearby Dulce Base. And they set off like this 100-kiloton bomb underground. But it turns out when you do that, the natural gas is too radioactive to be safe to like use. So
who would have thought? I mean, what can you do? I've got the Wikipedia for Project Gas Buggy up. on the screen, so you know.
So that didn't really go anywhere. But what the cattle that were getting mutilated on tribal lands, what his father noticed was that they were almost all older cattle, and they were all cattle that lived there full time because evidently, seasonally herds would come in from other areas to feed on those lands, but none of those cattle really were ever taken. And and they were pretty sure it was the government or some big corporation. So they were like, well, how are they finding the cattle? And according to him, they noticed that some of the tribal cattle had been marked with a dye that was visible in the UV spectrum. So they were saying maybe they're like flying around on a helicopter and, they'd have a UV light, which is, invisible, and they could pick out the cattle at night and go down and grab them. But they thought they were taking older cattle because, they were maybe there was concern that like the cattle they were feeding there were getting contaminated by the nuclear testing. And obviously you wouldn't want to go public with that. Like that's a situation where you wouldn't approach the ranchers and be like, can we have 20 of your cattle because we think your whole herd might be radioactively contaminated?
Oh, by the way. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Later on, I thought that part was pertinent to this story. Later on, I think the book goes a little far afield where he starts saying that maybe, experimental aircraft that were being developed at Dulce Base were being used in these, cattle stuff. Although I'm kind of like, why would you take out your top secret aircraft to go try and, it seems like helicopters could handle that. But so the book eventually turns into a discussion about like how they might have been building light craft at Dulce Base, which are like this real, at least theoretical idea. They've made some prototypes and stuff. And, there's rumors the military's had functioning ones since the 60s. It's basically if you don't know what it is or the audience doesn't know, it's a type of aircraft that's powered by either microwaves or lasers, but the power source is not on the aircraft. So the aircraft itself is rather light, and the power to it, the laser or the microwave system beams power to the aircraft that it then uses to produce thrust. So you don't have to have the power system there. And the theory's always been like along the mountain ridges there, they've installed power sources to try and power these things around. I know officially they've built some prototypes and they can fly around a little bit, but it's not a very advanced system.
Okay. Which actually, by the way, for people that don't know, they're talking about using that same technology to visit close star systems, light years away. I don't know if you heard about this stamp-sized craft that had sensors in it that they proposed using like a laser to kind of this almost massless object to shoot a laser at it and make it go almost the speed of light, like as fast as possible because the mass is tiny, but then get super far away super fast. And anyway, so just kind of brought that to mind. But okay, so back to
I will say that
go ahead.
That's a light sail technology where you're using the kinetic energy of the photons to push things around. Lightcraft, the laser is a source of I don't know. The laser is a source of energy that you use to like convert stuff on the craft into thrust. Like you're using it to generate electricity that you then use to like vaporize a medium to let you move around or whatever. It's not the same.
I see. Not
theory.
The same thing. Okay. Gotcha.
You can look up Lightcraft on Wikipedia. They have a very lengthy explanation of the science behind it that is beyond my ability to understand.
Yeah. So you and me both. But okay, so then what? So you think that? So they had these. What is this book again? Can you tell me what this book is one more time?
It's just called. Here, I got it on my other phone. It's just called Dulce Base. It's by this guy named Greg Valdez. It came out in 2013. I'll check for sure. I'm not lying to you. If my phone will work at a functioning speed, which of course it's not going to. I'm pretty sure that's right. It's not the most professionally written book. It's available on it's on Amazon for $10. I got it on the iBook store for $10. So yeah, it is. Sorry, my phone's being a pill because I'm outside right now.
That's okay.
I don't know if I'm gonna. Yeah, it's just called Dulce Base. Yep. So yeah, I read it like 5 years ago, so I'm going off memory here.
That's okay. You're allowed. You're totally allowed, man. We do it half the time, so it's all good. No, okay. So, Dulce Base: The Truth and Evidence from the Case Files of Gabe Valdez is this book here. If you guys are interested in this, I haven't heard of this. I haven't read this clearly. So he's saying that the cattle mutilation thing is not about aliens at all. It's about some sort of underground nuclear fracking, where they're testing this stuff on cattle because they want to find out what the hell's going on with the actual environmental implications of this, right?
He says the original wave in the 70s was based around that, at least in that area. I know the book talks about like the wave that happened in the 90s, but I can't remember what his thinking was about that one. It takes the position that instead of aliens being at Dulce Base, it's a secret government testing facility where they do biological experiments or do wildlife testing or test samples from other secret labs in the area. Because like Los Alamos and Area 51 are relatively close by. And that Paul Bennett, if that's the right name, if that's the name that makes sense, shows up at some point. Evidently, I'm not as knowledgeable about this stuff as some of your audience. He's like one of the guys, that was talking about the grays and the whites and stuff like that. The book claims that like a lot of that stuff was like Air Force disinformation that they were feeding him because he had managed to get an actual look at some of these experimental aircraft, and so they had to make him sound like a crazy person rather than be like, yeah, we have these experimental aircraft or whatever. I'm not sure how true any of that is. That's what the book talks about.
That's an infamous case. Paul Benowitz is the guy's name. And,
that sounds right.
Yeah. And he was actually a victim of, he actually ended up committing suicide, I believe, right? And he was actually driven to do that through a government program and an individual by the name of Richard Doty. There you go. For those people that don't know that story, there's the side story that kind of fits in. I had no idea this was a thing. I didn't know this was a book.
Evidently, Greg's father, Gabe, was a tribal policeman, and he worked with Paul on some stuff. But also, this is according to the book, so I haven't confirmed it, but when they released the CIA remote viewing files, Project Stargate, I think is the name of that, when they released the remote viewing files, both Greg's father and another one of the ranchers that had cattle missing were some of the test subjects to see if they could be remote viewed upon. And there is a question of why would they be just picking these random people who are complaining about their cows getting mutilated to try and remote view on them, unless they were trying to figure out what they knew or whatever, right? Because those names are never supposed to be public.
Yeah, that makes sense. But in the end, anyway, it doesn't really matter what you kind of think about this cattle mutilation stuff. There's so many angles here, just the government disinformation bit, the alien thing. Now we're talking about the Dulce Base is interesting in itself, right? That's the one guy, Phil Schneider, and the aliens underground, and apparently in that area they've got little people, like 2 foot tall people that run around that have been part of the folklore of that area for hundreds of years. I mean, this is a weird spot, dude. This is a weird spot, right? Did that show up in the book?
I don't. I mean, like I said, the book takes a really firm, the alien stuff is all disinfo approach, if I remember correctly. I don't know if he talks about the little people. Like I said, it's been a while since I read it. It's still on my phone. I might look at it a little bit more tonight. But I will say that it is interesting that no matter where you start on these things, when you start pulling the threads, all these the cattle mutilation cases are connected to this Paul Benowitz guy, that's connected to Dulce Base. It all does seem to be all the same people involved. Let's say that.
I agree with you, and that's the thing that bothers me the most about all of this stuff. When you start talking about ufology and the rest of this, is that you can probably what's that game with the Kevin Bacon, the 7 degrees or whatever that shit is. You could put 10 or 12 or 15 people in the UFO community and literally trace all of this shit back to these people. And that's the thing that drives me the most insane about this. Considering, you're you and I'm me, and all these people out there listening are them. We're able to see our own shit ourselves, but how come the only people that get press, that get book deals, that get government inside information, that get all this other crap are these same 12 or 15 or 20 fucking people? It drives me nuts, bro.
Well, one suspects maybe they're on a list somewhere. People that are receiving money from someone is what I'll say about it. Be my suspicion.
Right? There's a suspicion there for sure.
Yeah. So I figured I'd call in. Just that's the theory proposed in this book. I don't know about this Oregon thing that just happened. I guess. I mean, my gut feeling always is like it's more any particular instance is more likely to be us rather than aliens. So. I mean, maybe that. I think there's maybe some plausibility to the cult stuff in the sense of like, cults tend not to have a lot of money. They tend to be made up of like people that are pretty marginalized. So I could see them being like, well, if we need cow parts for our weird rituals, we're just going to go kill some cows rather than buy them or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense. We'll steal them by dark of night with our black cloaks and our shiny daggers.
Yep. So maybe or the government could be stealing people's cows again. The other thing the book talks, I think maybe I'm just guessing. I think maybe the book's theory about the ones in the 90s were that it had to do with mad cow disease, where they're trying to get a handle on how prevalent mad cow disease was in the United States without like alerting anybody.
Okay, so you kind of trim the herd and. You put masks on them, 3 masks at a time, and you keep it from spreading.
Mad cow disease was a real thing. They had to wipe out a bunch of like cattle and sheep in Europe over it. I think in the United States, I know there were problems for a while where Japan wouldn't take beef from the United States anymore for fear that it was contaminated with mad cow, because like we never did widespread testing here.
Yeah, I do remember that. I was just making a bad joke.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
Yeah, but okay, all right. So then, if you had to pick one thing, what is cattle mutilation? What is all of this? Because there's a mythology behind it. There's all the little green men stuff. Then there's all this the Paul Benowitz stuff, like you brought up. Then the shit's still going on. Do you think it's related, or do you think it's like cows have been around forever and terrible shit happens to them?
I don't think it's just one thing. Like, right, like sometimes it probably is predators. Sometimes maybe it's a hoax or whatever. But in general, like these waves of it, my guess would be it's the government up to no good. The government's the kind of organization that the worst case scenario for them is they somehow get caught and then they just have to pay out the value of the cows, really, right? Like they're individual government agents being directed by the Department of.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. And that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, just a little bit. Like if the cows, they have a value, right? And so that means the rancher has a value to shut the fuck up, right? You give them that value plus a little bit more, they shut up. So imagine if this is the case, and it's happened all over the place. Like it's not just cows, it's sheep and other livestock. Like there's a value there, and government just prints the shit out of money anyway, and their defense budget is through the roof. It kind of doesn't make much sense to me that even this information gets out, unless of course it's some nefarious third party characters, right? I think that's really where I'm at with this. Is it's like, okay, this is a clandestine thing. The government's not either disavowing, right, too cheap to pay for the cattle. I don't know. Which again wouldn't surprise me because they're too cheap to pay for a lot of things. They really matter.
Yeah, so I didn't hear that last sentence. I managed to catch the edge of a nearby Wi-Fi signal, and so my phone went nutty. But I heard basically what you said. You think it's more likely to be the government than third parties?
Yeah, or some, the government being cheap, or some nefarious third parties. I think that makes more sense for most of it. Again, like you said, you can't really say one thing fixes all of it, answers all the questions, but because that's just too simple for life. But yeah, I'm with you, man.
All right. Thanks for having me on. I guess when's the new show coming back? Is there an update on that?
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. I was about to do one today, to be perfectly honest. Yesterday. But I think we're probably aiming for Friday. So we'll do the new show, get back on Friday, get back on track. I'll announce it here on Discord. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. Thanks for carrying, man.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
I appreciate it. Talk to you soon. That's Axel, guys. Axel from met him on Twitter. Good dude. And again, now this is the thing, right? And I have to point this out, and he knows it, is that him and I could pretty much disagree on everything, meaning politically. right? He's like, we're opposite ends of the spectrum, but it doesn't matter because we can still get along and have conversations about lots of good things. And that's a notable thing. Like, it doesn't have to be, it shouldn't be, but it is in this day and age, you know? Everything doesn't have to be a stupid political discussion where everybody tries to shit on each other because of some crappy ideology that somebody taught you in school or this other thing, right? Like, we're allowed to have these conversations aside from the fucking politics they try and stuff down our throat. So anyway, all right. So what's up, David? Looking at the So I did talk about Linda Moulton Howe, and I think part of that, like I discussed that early on. So I think part of the problem here is the thing that drives me most nuts, like I was saying to Axel there, regarding a lot of this UFO stuff, is it traces back to the same 20 people. It's like 20 or 30 people, right? Like maybe you could expand the net and maybe say it traces back to the same 50 people, right? But I mean, like that to me reeks of a government psyop. You know, whether the people that are getting the information as the quote insiders, you know, they believe it, sure, because they think they're on the inside. You know, no offense to those people. I'm sure they're all fine people. I'm not making, you know, accusations as to the character of these individuals, but I am saying that a lot of this information comes back through a very tight group of people. That's interesting. So anyway, all right. So as we continue, we're done. We're just about done. We got about 15 minutes left, and we're done with the show. But back to this, back to the cattle mutilations. What do you guys think it is? This is the trick. This is what we're talking about, and this is the topic tonight. And we've had we wide ranging all over the place, right? From the book that Axel just brought up, this book, Dulce Base: The Truth and Evidence from the Case Files of Gabe Valdez. We heard Derek from Massachusetts say that maybe this is some sort of ritualistic portal opening process where they're using very much like you would expect from like spellcraft of some sort of ritualistic castings of portal magic, right? Like you need you need frankincense and you need the tongue of a cow, right? Stuff like this. Like who knows? And I'm just throwing those things out there as, you know, spell ingredients. But who knows? Who really knows? And that's why we're talking about this, because again today, and I say today, this article, and it's not just this place, it's popping up all over, that mysterious cattle mutilations crop up again, this time with 7 dead in Central Oregon. All right, Jay, what's up? You're in the caller queue. I'm going to bring you in. It says you're muted, so here we go. Let's go to Jay. Jay in New York. Just unmute your shit. You should be good, man. Unmute. What's up, guys? We got, let's see, Wizard Oz Time Lord. I'm headed out. Thanks for hanging out, man. Thanks for being here. What's up? David says I entered late to the show. Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. It happens, man. Let's see. David also says, no one will cover the story because it ruins their credibility. Understandable. Well, hey, if we start with the ruined credibility, then we don't have to worry about it, do we? What's up, Tam says, a bit off topic, but also an add-on to what we all discussed. My question is, would it still be beneficial for me and my family to immigrate to the USA with all the drama that's going on? Yes. Yes. Don't let all the press about how terrible this country is fool you. There's a reason why people the world over are trying to come to this country. It's yes, if you have the option, I recommend it highly. And because I wouldn't rather live any other place, in my opinion. You know, we have our problems like every other country does, warts and all. Warts and all. However, if you have to like put me up against, let's say China or Russia or something like this, some of these other superpowers, no, those guys can fuck right the fuck off. Like, no, thank you. So no, so yes, please disregard all that drama. America is a very big place, and if you don't like all the trash going on in all these crappy places, there are many places you can move away from there where it's not happening. So there you go. Don't believe the press. Don't believe the international press about this country. It's not. It is one of the best places in the world to live. Let's see. All right, let's go to Jay. Jay in New York. What's up, buddy? You're on Trouble Minds. Mike, how are you, my friend?
Mike, pleasure.
Thank you. No,
fantastic.
Pleasure's mine, sir.
Always fantastic.
Thank you. How are you?
Just listening to the show in and out tonight because talking to family and all. that one picture that came up with the mysterious several mutilations there, the one picture there had that the side of its face was ripped off. And then you notice when you're driving up and down, I live in upstate New York, so sometimes you have to go far to go to work. And you see the dead deer on the road. There's some that the crows pick at, and there's some that don't. Well, with the snow plows and everything else like that, and they're like, some of them actually become like mummified before somebody goes out there and picks them up, you know? Other ones get dragged off by the bear or the coyotes or whatever. They're gone, you know. You can see the bones laying around there because they're there day after day, and you're making the same trip day after day. That's the picture. So there was this one that was tucked in between the guardrails and stuff like that. And other than the fact that side of his face was scraped off, I figured he, like, you know, got hit in the ass end or something like that by the car that hit him and just clipped him a little bit, and he got some road burn or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was going up there every day for quite a long time, and the crows were picking on the other ones and the dead skunk and everything else like that you see on your 45-minute ride through the mountains. And you just kind of look at stuff like that when you're listening to your show or some other guy's podcast or something like that, and you're like, wow, that was kind of weird, man. No one's ever touched that. You know? The one a half a mile down the road they hit hard, you know, dragging legs off and stuff. You know, dead deer in the middle of the highway is missing a leg today. Why is that one starting to look mummified?
Yeah, I actually saw this.
Cats.
Here's a weird one too.
Today I went over to somebody's house. There was a skunk trying to make its little burrow under somebody's porch. So the lady calls me up and she goes, "You got to come over and help me out. I got a skunk under my porch. I just want you to nail boards up here, the cheapest thing you can buy because lumber's outrageous now." So the skunk can't get in there. So we let a smoke bomb off underneath the thing. Skunk comes running out. I nail up a bunch of boards. Skunk can't get back in. But there was a cat in there that was absolutely mummified. It was like, you see dead squirrels up in the house and stuff like that when you're remodeling houses and stuff like that. The bugs get to them and stuff like that. But you don't see one that just looks like something sucked all of the energy out of it. Blood, water, everything. The only thing that's left is the carbon matter. You know? It happens. I mean, what is it? I don't know. I've seen tons of it, you know? Just because I rip old houses apart, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah. So I know.
Usually it's a skeleton. If a bird dies because it couldn't find its way out of the under gutter in the Yankee gutter thing or something like that, you find a skeleton. And you find a mummified one. It's like, wow, that's weird. You know?
Yeah.
2 bays over and you're talking 32 inches away. This one's a skeleton and that one's a mummy. Those bugs couldn't find their way there. What happened to that bird? What happened to that squirrel? What happened to whatever? You know?
Yeah,
I really think,
exactly.
you know, there's stuff that we don't know.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, too. So, as you know, the reason we do this and take the live calls is because, you know, we have all people from different walks of life. You're a carpenter. You know, God bless you, you're a carpenter. You know, what's his name? Dan out there is a Game Vet 02. He's a truck driver, right? Like, and this is the thing. You get enough people together. Joe from Florida is a mortician, right? Like, you get enough people together that have different knowledge bases on so many different things, but then you talk about particular issues. You end up like this. This is literally like this is Congress, right? This is what Congress should be, and they're not. They're just a bunch of like assholes that you know are trying to pull the bullshit that they try and pull on us, right? Like this is what it should be.
It should be about something.
Exactly. It's sick. It's a very, very sick thing that here's why we're doing it. Comment in the chat here. Tamara was asking about the United States. I answered the question. There's another one here. David says this. on YouTube. He says, I've known many Russians here and a few friends, they say they never want to go back. And I'm telling you, right? Like, think about it. Like, look at the press.
I've got a really cool story about that. I mean, you're talking like 1986.
Yeah. Wait. Let me finish real quick, and then you go. Let me finish real quick. So there are people the world over who are dying to get in this country. No shit, dying, risking their lives. Right? Like coming from south of the border, walking through the desert, barely any food and water, risking their lives to get here. And then we have the press in this country saying, oh, this country is the racist, most motherfucking piece of shit country ever. Nobody wants to fucking come here because we're fucking unfair and all this other bullshit. And yet people the world over are dying to come here. Because guess what? The opposite is really true. Like I said, we live in the upside down. And I'm not saying, like, and I don't want you to get me wrong, guys. I get it. There's a lot of broken shit with this country. Like there's a lot of broken shit with every country. You see? It's true. Except, look where everybody's trying to get. That should tell you everything you need to know. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Back when I was a kid, I used to hang out around the fire department on a military base. And there was some kind of deal or something like that where the Russians were allowed to fly their planes into this particular cargo base for refueling and maintenance purposes. They had one that broke down. A little bit of a fire, so the fire department went out there and checked them out. And blah, blah, blah. Long story. Anyway, the guys were hanging out there for about a week where they did maintenance on their plane to get it off the ground, to get it back over to going wherever the hell they were going. And the fire department was going over there and helping shelter them and making sure they were eating them and everything else like that. Well, come to find out that they had nothing. So the fire department went out and did a drive and sent them home with clothes and CDs and canned food and all kinds of stuff like that. And those guys would fly in like once a month after the fact. And they were just so grateful that no politics involved, no nothing. Y'all need something. Well, we got a whole bunch of, my kid's 3 now, and I got a whole bunch of size 2 clothes that we're getting ready to take to Goodwill. Well, you want to take them home?
Yeah, here you go. Here's some stuff, you know? Yeah.
Just, well, people are simple. We will always be here. The governments might not, as, Egypt, whatever they had going on over there with all their technology and the Tesla theories and, pyramids were power generators, and the crap in China with a nuclear reactor that's millions of years old, all these little articles you find. And you read something because you're bored because the guy that's supposed to meet you half an hour ago just called you up and told you he's going to be 45 minutes late, Thanks.
Well, welcome to life. Welcome to life.
I'm sitting in my truck an hour and a half away from my house waiting for you. You're already late.
Jay, you're
Thank
the best.
God for telephones with internet access.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, so let's get back on track here. So what do you think about this cattle mutilation stuff as we finish this show out? We're about the end. So I want to get your take on what the actual cattle mutilation stuff is. What do you think this could be?
Well, after listening to your show tonight, the guy was talking about the microwave and the laser, Kelly, I believe, sending a postage stamp to another galaxy. What's going to happen if we fire this thing off? The same way they did with the nuclear bomb. Well, we're going to set this thing out in Arizona in the middle of goddamn nowhere.
Yeah. Okay, but hold on though. So that's one thing, but. So these cattle mutilations have been going on for, hundreds of years at least, and then maybe thousands by some accounts. So what do you think? I mean, so we had that account from 1897, approximately 15 years before the Wright brothers put the first aircraft in the air, and said that there was an actual craft hovering above their cattle that took one. They saw it. Visual evidence of this thing being taken into the sky in 1897. What the hell do you think is going on with this?
all this stuff has probably been going on forever. And now that we have the internet and telephones and radio and all that, we have the opportunity to chat with each other, not get ticked off about politics or the thing that gets your blood pressure up.
Wait, taxes or healthcare? Which one?
Well, both, personally.
Okay,
they
both.
get mine up too.
All right, cool.
I really think that, you know, we have the opportunity to talk a lot more, you know, social media, all those things that are going on. You know, before you had a newspaper, somebody had to write it down and print it, and you learned about it tomorrow. You know, now we're learning about it, you know, a nanosecond after it happens. It's been going on forever. The same things have been going on forever and ever. And just not, now we get to find out about it faster on a larger range. Bunny was out with her son there on the seesaw trip and stuff like that. I was watching it and they put it up so I could have something to listen to while I was working in my shop. And nice architecture and stuff like that, but she made note of the clouds. Cumulonimbus clouds all over the place. Everywhere she went. Nice, beautiful, sunny day.
I saw that video as well.
And then there was this one spot when they got out over the farmland, and it wasn't cirrostratus. Those were artificially put there, just to not use words that, I don't know what words you're allowed to use.
Cloud seeding. Let's say cloud seeding. Good night, MJ. Thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah, we're finishing this up, but yeah, there's tons. You're right, man. You're right. I think basically it's a good thing that we can still get together in this day and age, and the internet's a beautiful thing. Let's wind it up, man. Final thought. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it, Jay. You and me, buddy.
Let's learn as much as we possibly can and talk to each other and be helpful and friendly.
Yes, sir.
That's what I got.
Jesus was a carpenter, my friend. Jay, you're the best. Thanks for listening.
I'm far from Jesus. I tell you that right now.
Wait.
I'm far from Jesus.
That's as far as the comparison goes. So you're safe. I'm not trying to say that at all. Jay, you're the best. We'll talk to you soon. Okay. Thanks for listening. God bless you and the family. We'll talk to you soon.
Good night, Mike.
Thanks, my man. Have a great night. There we go. As we finish this, you guys know what's up. This show is about you. This show is about all the things. And look, we start with one thing. We kind of meander around some other things because we have people listening all over the goddamn world. All over the world. Pardon my blasphemy. Look, we do. People listen all over the world to this show. And so it's okay. It's okay. The things that we talk about that kind of go in a weird wavy motion, meaning that we start one place and we end up another place. It's the way it is. It's the way a conversation happens, right? And as part of that, that's why we do this in the manner we do. That's why we have an open line. That's why we have an open Discord. That's why we read the chat. That's why we do all the things. It's good. My opinion, this is good. Open communication across the board is good. This is all good. And as you guys know, as we continue talking about these things, tomorrow will be another thing. I'm pretty sure we got Ash on the show. I got to make sure, confirm that. But I'm pretty sure Ash will be here tomorrow talking about some wacky shit like we always do. But look, the whole point is this. Why do we got to listen to the mainstream tell us a bunch of garbage? We don't. The choice is yours. It's literally your choice. You do you, you be you. You be inquisitive and passionate about the things that are important to you. Oh, shit. I pressed the wrong button. Oh, there we go. But you do you, I'll do me, and we'll be us together. And it's okay. And we don't have to agree on everything. It's fine. I just don't understand, like, this super hyper partisan garbage bullshit media. Come on, guys. They're breaking up families. They're breaking up, like, couples. It's sick. This is all sick. Anyway, as you know, this conversation continues tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific, Ash should be here tonight. We're going to be talking about some other good stuff, and then Thursday as well. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think Friday. No, actually, I take that back. If you guys waited to the very last moment, we have a show on Friday, an actual Troubled Mind show on Friday, which we usually don't do Friday. We have with Sean from Canada. He's been working hard behind the scenes, putting together some good information about some interesting things. So we have an extra show this week on Friday, same time, 7 p.m. Pacific. So we're going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. And then maybe we'll start the news show on Monday. So anyway, stay tuned. Join the Discord, troubledminds.org. Do all the things, spread the word. Hey, look, we can agree, we can disagree. We have the right to be wrong, and here we are doing it. You guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Should be here with Ash. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thanks for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. See you tomorrow.